It's been forever, but forever has finally come. It is a Raw watch along on the Tom Colohue YouTube and Twitch channel for the Raw after WrestleMania as part of our big old WrestleMania package. If there's one thing I'm delivering for you, it's a massive package for WrestleMania. We are about to jump into a Monday Night Raw featuring Cody Rhodes for the first time in forever. Roman Reigns will be featured. Most importantly, probably the biggest news you could possibly have, Veer is here. Veer is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I say one more time, Veer is here, which ultimately makes this the biggest Raw that it could possibly be. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Tom Colohue. I am your host this evening for this Raw watch party. If you're currently watching on YouTube, please remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. We are currently on 1,071 subscribers with plenty more to come. Hello to everybody. Justin Stevens saying over and under on returns 3.5. Depends if you count Cody. Technically a return, but also kind of not. So it depends how you look at it. Sean says, Tom doing a Raw watch along. It's been ages. It's been an age and a half, but here we are all over again. Mogsley says, what's the deal with Veer? Like, is he going to get a monster push or something? Like, I know he's been coming for months now. What he needs is a doctor. Because if you ever start coming for months, go on. Just stop. Just stop. Bailey says, Veer is here. In the back. Indeed. And Megan is with us saying hello. Hello, Megan. How the devil are you? We are expecting a hell of a lot of fallout. A hell of a lot of fallout from WrestleMania that genuinely did a whole lot to change the landscape of the WWE. This felt like a season finale, now has to feel like a season premiere. I've been promised some good stuff, so let's see what actually happens. Yes, there have been reports about more names added to the Edge faction. We've seen the Rhea Ripley name mentioned. We've seen the Tommaso Ciampa name mentioned. Lots of potentially entertaining stuff to come. Lots of potentially entertaining stuff, so we'll see how it plays out. Wolfgamer says, hello, 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 hello. Alan says, are you going to show us Raw? I am not. I am not going to show an illegal stream here. I will just be hosting a watch party for people who are already watching Raw or who aren't and just want to be entertained by this ridiculous face. So if that's not for you, Alan, I 100% understand. Sean says, I think Peter Insider confirmed Sasha and Naomi are there. Also confirming that Sasha and Naomi are there 2 hours ago. Mag Self, 3 hours ago, I do apologise, Mag Self. They are there, they are backstage. Megan says not doing 100% but hoping it will pass. What's going on, Megan? You okay? What's going on? Hopefully you start to feel better soon. We have ourselves a prolonged WrestleMania recap, and this is one of the few times when it comes to a recap that I'm going to say, alright, I don't blame them for this one. Jay Quick says Cody comes out, gets interrupted by Veer. Then Cody crossroads him and sends him to catering. I would love it if Veer did come out, but just beat the hell out of Cody. Would have been fun. They seem to be closing, or at least getting to the close, with Cody, which is big. Sai says, welcome to WrestleMania leftovers all. Fair, Sai, fair. Brutal, but fair. Welcome, everyone. Megan says, just hitting a bit of a wall streaming-wise, trying to figure a way through it. Megan, by all means, let's have a conversation about that over the next week. I'll try and remember to send you a message, and I'll see if there's anything that I can do to change that for you. Anything I can do, certainly we'll try. Sean says, if Cody doesn't open, I can see him as a draw segment. Makes the most sense to me. We, after all, have 4 key segments. 4 key segments in a typical WWE Raw. Opening segment, main event, 2 draw segments. They're all pretty important to the overall state of play, but it's very much a case of trying to balance them all out at once. There's a lot going on. Just a lot going on at all times. Those things have to be factored in. Justin says, Cody kicking off according to USA Network. Not a surprise to me, what I expected. It is, after all, Cody Rhodes, and thus a big deal. BFG says, do you think WWE will do more of those media conference signings, unveilings like they did for Cody, or was it just one-time thing only for Cody and they are not looking to take a page out of AEW's book? It was specifically for Cody. No plans to my knowledge to do a lot more of them because they're not planning to bring back Cody Rhodes too many times. It was a very special occasion on that one. Cody also really likes working with the media. He really likes the media. So if he gets an opportunity to have a media junket, Cody will absolutely take it. Megan says, Cody's opening. I've seen a bunch of photos on LJ's account of the crew setting up a platform and ramp thing for him. Thank you for that information, Megan. And thank you very much for sourcing Ella J, friend of the channel and a very wonderful person. I am still being forgiving of the length of this recap package. Ultimately, what we've got is just a bit of a recap of the war between Brock and Roman. I say war, it just sort of happened. Simon says, hey Tom, Raw must watch for me tonight. Sasha is on, women's tag titles, championships on Raw. Yep. Raw should be a must watch anyway, to be completely honest, because it's the Raw after Mania, after a good Mania as well. It definitely should be. Sean says, I see a Valentine's version of Lily is on auction up to $1,500 American. And people said Lily wasn't over, mostly because she wasn't. Megan says, not timing it. I think that's wise. And Sonic, welcome, says WWE just brought heavy metal back. I don't think heavy metal ever really went anywhere, and I don't think it's up to the WWE to bring it back, but well done them. We are live in American Airlines all over again. Jay Quick says, do you think we see Brock tonight? I think it's possible that he pops up to basically sign off, and then we don't see him for a while. So I think we could see him tonight, yes. The lights have gone dark. Cody chants ring out. The heartbeat. And here comes Cody. BFG says, interesting. Do you think he will encourage WWE to do more of them? With him, yes. With others, maybe not. It's really hard to say. But there's a few people. In fact, infamously, there were two people in the WWE who were always crack of dawn, up and ready for media. The Miz being one, Cody Rhodes being the other. That was always the case. And of course with Cody, he'd be in Stardust makeup, so he had to be up early to really sort that out. This is a man who knows how to work that media. Sean says, does Cody take shots at AEW? I find that unlikely. Very unlikely. I think this will be quite respectful all in all. Jay Quick says, secretly the lights go out. It's really Undertaker. Don't even say that. Don't even say that. Don't give the guy ideas, because you know he'll go for it. Simon says, Mania 38 in my top 5 of all time. Really enjoyed it. Really amazing. Super pay-per-view. Overall giving 9 out of 10 over the 2 nights. As is high praise, Simon. High praise indeed. Wolfgamer says, I gotta say I'm a wee bit nervous. I start working soon. By soon, I mean Thursday. Cool. I did not know you were not working at current, Wolfgamer. Congratulations. A new job is always something worth celebrating. Whoa. I love how Cody always finds someone to hug. He always finds someone in the crowd just to give a little cuddle to. Cody's home. I'm expecting at least a welcome back chant. It just makes sense to me. I'm expecting we're going to see Seth Rollins in some capacity here. I don't necessarily think that the feud is over, because the feud's just started. I suspect WrestleMania Backlash might feature a rematch. But at the very least, I'm expecting to see Seth in some capacity. I always find this interesting because you get it across different things. Mogsy says, loving the new ring boards. And Megan says, am I the only one who kind of likes the curved screens on the corner? It's a nice touch. I like them. And it's nice seeing that everyone saw them at the same time there. It's quite nice. Ed, also a fan. Jay Quick says Cody doesn't hug people. That's Bailey's old gimmick. You just hug people there? Moxie agrees. Curved screens are really good. Wolfgamer says, yeah, it's been a bit since I last worked. Had a bit of an anxiety attack at my last job and I wanted to try to better it before going back into a job. I get why you're nervous, mate, but I have absolute confidence. Sometimes you do just need to step out, take your time, rebuild, and then come back. I totally get it. Cody's being welcomed with open arms by the good old-fashioned WWE Universe. We're currently at 5 likes on the YouTube video. If you have the time, please consider hitting thumbs up on this YouTube video. That will be a big help in helping this channel grow, helping us find new subscribers, new channel members, and the like. Going live tomorrow is my Triple H career retrospective in the members only section. And of course, if you're on Twitch, you can click follow to get a notification every time we go live. And you can subscribe with Prime, as Ed Fries has just done. Says, let's end Mania Week with 14 months. Ed, the official, original, the first follower, the first subscriber, the first channel member. Thank you very kindly, sir. Simon says, is Carmella having some time off now to get married to Corey? I don't know if Corey's getting time off, so we'll see. Sean says, if Cody is booked well, could it persuade AEW talents that it's not as bad over here as you think? Yes, absolutely. Ooh. Cody Rhodes here confirming what I've been saying. He's talking more about WWE than AEW so far. No, at the moment, Jay Quick, I know that they have not signed Brandy. I don't know if they're going to, but I know that they haven't. D. Freeman says, one thing you can say about WWE fans, they will welcome you back with open hands. They will. They're just glad he's back, same as everybody else is. It's Cody. Everyone's thrilled. I'm trying not to speak over the promo too much. I know that annoys people, which I think is fair. Cody opening the show means likely Roman is going to be main eventing. Just as an aside on that one. And I seem to be having some minor internet issues. Bear with me while I fix that. KJ says, I know he feels good to be cheered. Well, he's earned it. He literally went away and built up the competition just to get a chance. The chance came. Megan says, I get the impression Brandy isn't that fussed about wrestling in the immediate future, which is fair, honestly. I agree. The impression I get is that she'd rather be on TV, and she has opportunities. Cody talking Dusty. Simon, I think the Young Bucks will retain. FTR will retain, is what I think. A dusty chant from the Raw faithful when Cody has an emotional moment. We're getting a history lesson there. Cody is laying out the plan right now. First mention of Triple H. Won't be the last from Cody. Won't be the last. I always get the feeling that Cody Rhodes is only a couple of seconds away from mentioning Triple H again. That's just the vibe you get from the guy, unfortunately. Oh, I am struggling to get this working. Okay. I will persevere. Can promise you that. I did hear the boos when Cody mentioned Hogan. It does not surprise me. It is, after all, Hulk Hogan. And lots of people, not fans. By lots of people, I mean most people. It's Hulk Hogan. Jay Quick says, do you think anybody interrupts Roman? I think there's a number of options. But I think he'll probably just celebrate tonight. Billy says the WWE camera people have to really work tonight to follow him, as he is talking to all sides of the arena. Cody does like to wander. We are talking championships immediately from Cody. He's got his eyes set on Roman. Never an AEW champion. The acting is getting a little bit annoying. Go on, Cody, declare. Jay Quick says, I'm surprised as of yet no Seth, but it's still early. It is. And Cody is laying it on the line for Roman. Sean says Cody versus Roman at SummerSlam. Doesn't sound like Cody's going to wait that long. I'd imagine they're going to throw some obstacles, Seth being one of them. But Cody's making a beeline for Roman. They're trying to get a "you can do it" chant going. Bit cheesy. Megan says, Pat Bug just posted in the last hour on Facebook confirming his departure. She's that the main reason was that he wants to spend more time with his young family. That he feels he accomplished all he wanted to do as a producer. Good reasons to walk. I respect it. You can tell Cody's enjoying this. There's no escaping the obvious face intonations here. Leaning heavily on the memory of Dusty to make sure people are cheering, and it's working. And here's Seth. Jay Quick says, well, if Cody wants to make a statement, you go after the big dog. You do. You absolutely do. But first, there is a Seth. If you were watching Spoiler Warning earlier, of course I spoke about the early direction of Cody Rhodes and how Seth Rollins was going to be involved in that. Seth is not going to come out of this one looking great. That's all I'll say. Even though the fans are kind of behind him being there. Sing-alongable music, I told you. It's the way. It's the way. Seth, of course, also has unfinished business with Roman. KJ says, Cody looks like he's virtually there, not used to it yet. I respect that. The first time that Liverpool signed the manager Jurgen Klopp, every time he was on the sidelines, I was like, they've CGI'd him in. It's not real. It's obviously not real. It's pure CGI. Also said that about Jamie Lannister, because that is a very attractive man. I don't believe he's real. Okay, once again, BT Sport, what the hell? Can you please just work? This is becoming a problem. I can always, during a commercial break, pop downstairs and get my PS4. It might be the only option. As batshit problematic as it was previously, it's better than this. Okay, we have a Seth. Wolfgamer says, is it weird that I love Seth's outfit? It's not as bad as it usually is. Like, that's not horrible. Jay Quick says, I wonder who picked out his suit, Becky or their daughter, because those are the only three who can think those suits are good. They know they're bad. They're okay with it. That's the point. Becky's been helping with all of this. Cody offers a hand of friendship. Sean says, someone just tweeted, Fightful said Roman isn't hurt. Did Fightful say that? Just want to be clear. Did Fightful say that? Seth has taken his hand. Can't imagine that's a positive. Kuro says, if you're WWE, do you do Cody versus Seth rematch at Backlash, have Roman get his stuff out of the way, and then do Cody Reigns at Hell in a Cell? I'd probably wait until SummerSlam for Cody Roman, but Seth's not done here. Seth is not done. Jay Quick says, yeah, handshakes in wrestling never go right. We got a war coming. Sai says, Seth said welcome home. He did. Byron Saxton wearing a very similar suit to Seth Rollins, just about the glitter. Roman, of course, will be appearing tonight. He's being announced by the announce team at the moment as appearing. He will, of course, have both championships and will be showing off. RK Brower here. Wolfgamer says that went in a direction I wasn't expecting. Same. I wasn't expecting the handshake, but I just knew that Seth was going to be involved. Jay Quick says, hey Byron, look behind you. It's Stone Cold. Is it? Austin Theory and the Usos will be taking on Finn Balor and RK Bro. Also tonight, Bianca Belair. Jay Quick says, hey Byron, look behind you. It's Stone Cold. There's a terrified man, and so he should be. Bear me just 1 second, guys. I need to sneeze. Our first match looks like it's going to feature Naomi and Sasha Banks. They are making their entrance for the opening of the show, just as we are about to go into our first commercial break. Megan says, why couldn't it be Usos and Ricochet? Boo! Because Theory is who they want to push. And while Ricochet is the one they should push, at some point Vince McMahon decided that Ricochet was not the guy and that Austin Theory was very much the guy. I think it's the fact that he's called Austin. Vince McMahon has a thing for pushing Austins. Naomi's championship does not glow, and that sucks. Just a real shame. Do 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 do. Boom. Sasha Banks wearing what looks like a really, really snug blue coat. We have a championship contenders match, meaning that the champions are probably going to lose to whoever it is in order to set up their first feud. Great. Wonderful. I'm looking to see if I can see anything from anyone reporting that Roman is not hurt. Other than, of course, myself. So I said, doubt Stone Cold is there. He's still chasing Vince around the ring in the stadium next door. Seems so, yes. Sean said, I didn't like the Glow title. I did. It stood out and it was unique. And sometimes that's all you need. Larry says, Seth has more charisma in his little finger than Cody has in his whole body. That's my view anyway. Hello. I mean, that's a strong entrance, I'll tell you that. A strong entrance. Welcome. Bailey says, Liv and Rhea. Will they stay with the leather and spikes look? Probably. That's literally what Rhea wears at all times. Jay Quick says, am I the only one who doesn't like the championship contender thing? I don't think anybody likes the championship contender thing. I don't think anybody likes that. It's just not a positive. The whole concept is skewed. Indeed, Sean. WrestleMania next year will be on April Fool's Day. Megan says, Liv and Rhea, see how many people have recovered from Rhea's Twitter post earlier. Well, I need to go and look at that because I have no idea what you mean. So he says, well, I'm here. Wanted to say thanks for this weekend, Tom. A talented presenter. And we're looking to have you. Great community you're building and you deserve your success. Thank you kindly, Si. I do appreciate that. I am trying to be an entertaining presenter. I'm trying to keep things moving, keep things fun, and keep this a positive community. It's really nice to see you say that because it does confirm that I'm doing what I'm aiming to do. And it just lets me know I'm on the right path. So thank you. Of course, earlier on we did have a record 50 concurrent viewers on YouTube, approaching 70 viewers total at the time. So I'm definitely doing something right, but it's always nice to hear it from the horse's mouth directly. Thank you, Si. Moxie, welcome to the show. Jay Quick says, do you think we see Triple H tonight? No. He's retired. He's not working with Raw or SmackDown anymore. KJ says they should just let that match be, and if the number one contenders win, just gives them a title match. Yeah, I'd rather have a number one contenders match between people who aren't champions. Makes more sense to me. Welcome, HB Tigers. Thank you very much for following on Twitch. Welcome. We are currently an Ask Me Anything stream, but we are also a watch-along for Monday Night Raw. We're going to try and avoid too many spoilers because the earlier spoilers were spoiler warning, our earlier show. I am not on Snapchat, no. As big plush bears go, I have a red panda and a big cow, but that's about it. Sean says, Becky replied to Beth saying, I'll end you on a photo. Beth posted with Bianca that she tagged Becky in. Beth and Becky have been trying to get enough momentum to get themselves a match for a long, long time. I'm talking years. WWE still have not bit. Hector says, I know I may be late to this, but what emotion by Cody. That was a perfect promo for him to cut. Wasn't sure what he was going to say over live mic, but he said what needed to say, and I'm here for this Cody run and whatever comes with it. There is good stuff coming, and I think that's a great introduction or reintroduction for Cody. It's worth pointing out there will be some fans who only started watching in the last 6 years, and they don't know who Cody is. So it's a good introduction of him, good introduction of what he's here for, but also a good introduction of what's in his way. Jermaine says, WWE just gave Sasha and Naomi the tag titles last night. I just can't see them losing tonight, not that soon. I hope not. I would like it. It depends who it's against. If it's Rhea and Liv, then I'd imagine Rhea and Liv are going to find a way to win here. If it's Zelina and Carmella, then I imagine Zelina and Carmella are going to break up here. Justin, welcome. Says it's not a title match though. It's not, but it's a championship contenders match, and that's still annoying. Larry says, I like a good tournament for a number one contender. Give wrestlers not in storylines a match with meaning. Me too. There's a number of different ways you can do it. You can do tournaments, you can do battle royals. You can do pretty much anything. You don't have to just have the champions always fighting. I would love it if sometimes the champions go away for a bit and just wait for challengers to appear. If you're already the champion, I don't feel you need to be on TV every single week. You're already over, you know? They've given you the belt. It means something. Another brief recap section. Images of Dominic and Rey Mysterio being shot into the air. Nice pop for Brock there. Nice pop for Brock. It is indeed Liv and Rhea. Justin says, I think Naomi and Sasha win and then Rhea turns on Liv. I don't necessarily think the breakup will happen that quickly. After all, they have just started as a tag team. My expectation was that these two teams would feud after WrestleMania. I mean, they're immediately the first opponent, so it kind of makes sense. But let's see how it goes, because at the very least, we're about to have a fun starter match. A fun opening to Raw, for sure. We are a half hour in, all of which has been Cody Rhodes' promo. And our first wrestling match is just beginning. Rhea Ripley as a powerhouse, dominating Naomi to start with. Liv is trying to get the crowd involved in a count. Kind of working. Rhea just really showing off at this point. At some point, Naomi has to say, let's call it there. And I think she did. I like that when she's covering someone, Rhea will look directly at the hard cam and smile. That's something most wrestlers only actually do when they're definitely about to win. So it's nice to see that Rhea remembers to do it even when she's not going to win. Like at that point. Lovely slide under a big boot from Rhea. And Naomi has tagged out Sasha. I like the colour schemes here. We have blue and green on one side and just jet black on the other. What I don't like is that Liv Morgan did not bring a whip. Naomi hitting her a version of her finisher there. And is now holding her gut pretty tightly. Raw tonight will feature an NXT Championship match. Braun Breaker will make his Raw debut against Dolph Ziggler. Will Braun Breaker win his Raw debut? Certainly raises some questions about that. Interesting. Jay Quick says, so do you think they are building to a Seth Cody tag match where Seth turns on Cody? No, I think they're just building to another match one-on-one. I don't understand why they would tag. Sean says, do you think Liv's current character could work as a heel? No, but I think a heel Liv could work as a heel Liv. You would have to change the character because this one is a face. Hector says, Tom, did you catch Cody's interview with The Ringer where he said that Nick Khan was one of the nicest people he's ever met? I think it's good to humanise Nick Khan considering most people dislike him due to his business decisions. Didn't The Rock say much the same a while back? Putting over Nick Khan and the fact that he's a massive wrestling fan? So it says, just checked out the Rhea Ripley Twitter pic. Give her the world title right now. Okay, well, we have a lot of very excitable people on this. Let's find out. Let's find out what's going on. Rhea Ripley, 25, The Nightmare. What have we got? Nightmare, 2 hours ago. Okay. Okay. Just... I'm leaving it there. I am leaving it there. So we will have an NXT Championship match and the debut of Braun Breaker. So we have our first debut already. Sean says, didn't Braun already debut on Raw in a tag team match? He did. That's fair. That's a good comment. I always forget about stuff like that. This does technically count as a debut because at this point he'll be moved to Raw. But hey, maybe Ciampa's going to get involved there. Wolfgamer says, that's an interesting match choice for Raw. Dolph versus Braun. I can't see Braun winning because, you know, he's going to Raw. So what's the point? Why would he win on Raw and then go back to NXT? That's just confusing. But then that means he's going to lose to Dolph Ziggler twice in 1 week. Twice in 2 days, to be fair. Maybe Bobby Roode will get involved. Tommaso Ciampa will get involved. It'll end up being a tag match anyway. And Braun Breaker will just forget that he had a championship opportunity. And that's probably more likely at this point. Still, when you talk about the season premiere, and you talk about big moments, when you talk about debuts and surprises, here we are. Here we are. Justin says, this is not a spoiler. I read it just to be sure. I agree with you. But Fightful said Cody was supposed to main event, but it was switched to Roman. It makes sense given how they finished that segment. If they'd closed Raw with Seth Rollins shaking Cody's hand, I think that would have been a bit weak. But I think Roman has something to say. Megan says, I'm still hoping LA Knight shows up. Maybe he joins The Miz. Maybe he goes after Finn to set up a feud. Maybe he just turns up. I would love it if he just turned up. I wouldn't even have him interrupt anyone. I'd just have him turn up. Sometimes the background pushes and the subtle pushes work the best. For example, Elias, who walked around backstage for weeks before actually debuting. Bailey says, do we see any other women's matches tonight? With all the debuts and recap segments, there won't be more than 5 or 6 matches tonight. Depends how long the matches are. I expect we're going to see something like Doudrop versus... This is difficult. Doudrop versus Carmella or something like that. Something like that. I think we'll see another women's match. I just don't think it'll be very inspiring. Jay Quick says, I say Rude and Ciampa interfere and Teddy Long shows up and says it's a tag match player. Yep. That makes the most sense to me. And Braun Breaker just forgets that he was chasing championships until now. Sai says, I was at the Raw after Mania in 2013. Loudest pop I ever heard live when Ziggler won the world title from Del Rio. The Raw crowd is mainly Brits teaching football chants to everyone else. Amazing. That's been the way to do it. Justin said it's been strangely quiet on Dirt Sheets today about debuts and returns. It's weird. It is, isn't it? It's almost like the amount that the Dirt Sheets have got wrong over the past couple of weeks has taught them some humility. Let's see how long that lasts. Sean says, think anyone but Becky interrupts Bianca? I think it's possible. Doudrop versus Bianca could be a great introduction to the new championship reign. Megan says, Dana and Tamina is some kind of wedding stipulation thing. The less said about that, the better, let's be honest. And Hector says, do you honestly think Braun's ready? I think if you have him go against seasoned veterans before you put him in the main event scene, he should be fine. Slow build, but I could see him winning tonight and work double duty potentially. I think he's ready as long as he's protected. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I think it's Dominic level at the very least. The WWE certainly are very, very hot on Braun Breaker and think he's got everything required to be a star. They won't be making him main event just yet, though. We're not talking about him walking straight into Roman. Cody's walking straight into Roman. Sasha Banks is just beating the hell out of Liv Morgan, whose shoulders were not down for any of that. I can't see him working double duty, but we'll see how it actually goes in the match later tonight. I feel like we've had 2 commercial breaks and we've still only had a 7-minute match so far. They're catching up for missing out on the beginning, on the commercial breaks during Cody's promo. Sasha and Liv continue to have some pretty good chemistry, I've got to say. Megan says, I think this match could be a make or break match for Braun. In my head, if he gets a good response, he's heading for Raw full time. If not, maybe a bit longer in NXT. Maybe, that makes sense. Sean says, Carmelo Hayes tonight? Unlikely. I don't see any reason that they would bring him up. I think he's got a lot more to give first. Jay Quick says, do you think the title push was promised to entice Cody back? Probably, yeah. Makes sense to me. As I said, it wasn't about the money, it was about the push. And I don't feel many people actually said what Cody said there. Signing on the dotted line was not a difficult decision. It didn't take forever. He was just taking his time to sign. Larry says Steiner's coming out with Braun. Unlikely. You don't need to always have someone else come out with someone. You have to let people stand on their own to see if they sink or swim. So Braun Breaker for me, sink or swim. Naomi and Sasha Banks have picked up the win, pinning Liv Morgan with their new double team finisher, while Rhea Ripley was outside the ring. They're playing up the miscommunication, which does suggest a breakup may be impending. Rhea Ripley passes Banks and Naomi on the way, and is in the ring with Liv. Bailey says if these contenders didn't win, do they stay as a team? I don't know. I don't see any reason why not. Well, Rhea Ripley may say differently. The crowd don't seem to be picking up a very positive vibe here. And my stream's having issues again. If something's happening, I have no idea. We're not getting a reliable stream in any way, shape or form right now, unfortunately. BT Sport are letting me down, as always. It's hard to watch Raw. I literally pay for the service so that I can watch Raw. Well, apparently Kevin Owens is on his way down, so I don't know what the hell happened there. KJ says Rhea is going to join Edge, isn't she? I think she will, yes. It makes perfect sense to me. She's everything that they need. Would add a lot to the whole dynamic there. Could potentially result in a lot of championships. Hello, Caxips. Welcome to the show. Wolfgamer says, I don't want Liv and Rhea to break up yet. I think they've got a while yet, but they certainly were suggesting that the breakup was coming. Jermaine says, I think the breakup is coming, and I think the rumours of Rhea Ripley joining Edge in this new group might be true. We did talk about that earlier on Spoiler Warning. I can definitely see that happening. Megan says, I would have Rhea move to Smackdown. The nice story there of it being the only title she doesn't have yet. True, very true. It depends what the plan is for this Edge faction. If they add her to it, but then decide they need her on SmackDown, it's going to make the whole thing very awkward. Jay Quick says, how far in your opinion do you see this Edge faction going? Not to the main event, but just underneath that. Hector says, knowing what we know now, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if these Cody talks have hit a snag, came from someone with a connection to WWE, leaked that knowing he was signed. Yep, very possible. Very possible. Makes a lot of sense. The WWE in particular do have a habit of leaking false information to try and muddy the water. Makes sense to me. Sean says, I just got a DM on Twitter telling me Alexa isn't on the Raw rundown for tonight from Fightful. Think it's true, or is it possible they are just hiding it? I don't know. I have not seen the rundown. I haven't seen it. Fightful get it sent by someone internally. I don't have that connection. No idea. Justin said, I just don't want Liv joining Alexa at home or in catering. Once again, Alexa will be returning shortly. The plan was always to have her return after WrestleMania. Even if she's not there this week, there are already plans in place. She will be returning shortly. Boss Pedal says, I'd love to see Edge as Rhea and Liv's valet. It's 2022. Let's break boundaries. Give me slutty Edge. Boss Pedal, I like where your head's at. If anyone's going to be slutty, Edge is the perfect person. He's a rated R superstar. Let's put him in a little tiny top, right? Just push it up a little bit, and let's have him escort them down with a little twirl every time he comes down to the ring. He can lean over on the ring apron and pound the mat to cheer them on, so he can look right down that top. Let's have slutty Edge. Let's do it. Sai says, I take it all back. Bin Rhea Ripley off immediately. Nobody walks out on my Liv like that. Your Liv? Calm down, mate. Sean says, I believe Alexa is getting married this week. Well, then that DM should not surprise you in any way, shape or form. Why are you asking me if it's true if you openly believe something else? Someone7, welcome, says, how has Raw been so far? Good. The Cody Rhodes promo that opened the show was solid. Good entertainment. Our opening match was Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Liv and Rhea. Good action. Now we have Kevin Owens. And we've got a draw segment coming up. Justin says this could be a return call spot interrupting KO. Anyone could interrupt anyone on the Raw after Mania. That's a rule. Kevin Owens celebrating that he was in the main event of WrestleMania. BFG says, what do you think of the new LED barricade? I like it. It's nice. Sometimes it's good to branch out a little bit and be inventive. Kevin Owens giving some respect to Steve Austin. Not all the respect, but some respect. I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. Larry says, I agree on Edge. A wardrobe malfunction and sly nipple glimpse would break the internet. Everyone's been waiting for the Edge leaks. I think it's time. I think it's time. Kevin Owens stating that he had a back injury and that's why he lost the match. Good old-fashioned heel. Hello, Kura. How you doing, mate? This is a lot of pace behind this Kevin Owens promo. There is no breathing time here. He's not letting any what chance come through. Hector says, I wonder if WWE still owns the club name, and AJ Finn as the club versus Edge Damian Priest could be such a good long-term feud. Everyone is talking about Finn Balor and AJ Styles as a grouping. Everyone. Who is Ezekiel? No, seriously, who is this? Oh my god, it is. Oh my god, it is. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Am I the only one who just went really uncanny valley on Elias? I can't be the only one. Now let me find the tweet where I mentioned that he's coming back. No, his name's Ezekiel, mate. We've established this. Elias is not his name. Don't dead name. It's Owens' time. Which I think is fair. You are obviously Elias. I don't know how to feel. There's a yes you are chant. What? You are not Elias' younger brother. Stop it. Stop it. They've got March 29th. The WWE finally seem to have put together a creative plan for Elias' eventual return. And the plan was Ezekiel. It says Elias. Justin just says yikes. Wolfgamer says the fuck. Kuro says oh god no. Sean in the middle of this says funny how CM Punk talked crap about Kevin Owens wrestling in a shirt while Kevin Owens was in the Indies, yet Kevin main evented WrestleMania in a shirt against Stone Cold while Punk never did main event at Mania. Sean, there is no correlation whatsoever between Kevin Owens and CM Punk wrestling a main event at WrestleMania. Anyone talking about CM Punk is reaching real fucking far. Jermaine says, wow, Elias really does look like a young macho man. Ed says, oh, I fucking love this, which I'm kind of enjoying as well. Jay Quick says, so we have Gunter, Butch and Ezekiel. He's eventually going to go back to Elias. Ghost says, Elias looks like EC3 as Derek Bateman in his NXT days. What is going on? KJ says they didn't need to change him. Fans are back now. I think he's going back to Elias quickly. I think he's going to try something different, but he'll end up being Elias again. It says, Tom, you have had this crap with us before, telling us Sami Zayn is El Generico. This isn't Elias, it's obviously Ezekiel. To be clear, I at no point have ever told you that Sami Zayn is El Generico. That rumour is completely false, and I will deny that to my dying breath. Kura says, now I feel like this is supposed to be purposely being delusional. I like it. Hector says, Kevin Owens no selling this gimmick change is the best thing ever. Kevin Owens has just slowed down his count just to screw with the fans. And it looks like Elias is wrestling on Monday Night Raw. Oh, no he's not. Kevin Owens just buggered off. Justin says, going from Stone Cold to Ezekiel, shake my head. No, that's how wrestling works, mate. That's how wrestling works. It peaks and troughs. That's how wrestling works. And Jay Quick says, it's been proven Zayn and Generico are not the same. Fun fact. Ooh, Bad Bunny. While I've got you guys, I'm going to post a link to a tweet. And this is the quote tweet I've just done. A quote tweet I've just done on my report about Elias. I'm just going to post that on YouTube and on Twitch. If you wouldn't mind giving that some love, I would very much appreciate it. In the meantime, if you are watching on YouTube, please remember to click the like button. That little thumbs up can make a massive difference and can make a big help in meaning that our subscriber numbers continue to increase. If you're watching on Twitch, you can always click follow as well, which would be a big help also. Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz is up next. Looks like that might be a draw segment, which makes me think we're going to see Logan Paul tonight. Potentially Logan Paul attacking The Miz, I think. It's a draw segment. The Miz and Dominic Mysterio, not necessarily recognised as draw segment material. Boss Pedal says, please someone get Elias a beard transplant or a time machine. This is cursed. You do get that cursed image feeling, don't you? It's a shame. I mean, I miss Elias, but at least we've got Ezekiel to keep us company, you know? Sai says you need a chart of when you broke news and when it happened. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. It's a lot of work. There's just a lot to cover, but could be fun. The thing is, whenever I do stuff like that, I get quote tweeted by the big boys who lay into me for putting myself over. It's annoying as hell, because that tends to result in a lot more quote tweets and a lot more replies and sometimes occasional death threat. So the big boys have done what they can to make sure that I cannot speak without fear of reparation. But thankfully, I have other people here. Other people who are not afraid to speak up, and other people who I can then retweet. Which is why if someone tags me into a tweet where they mention a report that I've made that has been proven true, I retweet it. It's always really good to have that on my timeline, but I can't do it myself because people are looking for that to give me shit about it. Sean says, when the Ezekiel graphics showed, many thought it was Ezekiel Jackson. I thought it was Ezekiel Jackson. His name is Ezekiel. BFG says, I have a feeling if they give it some time, the new character will get over. He's already over. He's Elias. He's Elias. Elias was over. He's been over the entire time. Kuro says, just remember everyone, WWE now hates people holding signs with journalists' names. No, do they? Do they? I mean, the Meltzer Fears Facts sign didn't go anywhere, did it? Didn't go anywhere. At some point, I really hope we, once I've sorted out the merch side, and we get some Team Colohue shirts out there, I'd really like it if I was at some point able to see a Team Colohue shirt at a show, but that's just me wishful thinking. Megan says, I see Ezekiel and I think of the King from The Walking Dead, who is a very different man indeed. Sai says, I'm serious, like March 29th plans for Elias, April 5th re-debuts on Raw. If the date's still listed somewhere, we can make it up into a graphic. Fair, that's one of the things I want to do with a Team Colohue, just a bit of sort of backfilling of reports so I can get them out there. Something like that though, yeah, we can certainly look into. Bailey says maybe the gimmick is a different name every week. Next week, Ernie. Always an E. Always an E. Kura says, okay, but Metzler has a real journalism background. I meant journalists. Oh, I see. I see. Ghost says this is giving very much like Santino, the whole Miz WrestleMania thing. Miz WrestleMania? What's giving that? I don't see what you're seeing. We're getting a recap of the tag match featuring Logan Paul. As draw segments go, I think this needs to have Logan Paul involved. I think he's there. Sean says, an advertisement for Raw coming to the state I live in. Just advertised Becky as Raw Women's Champion. Will WWE change it, or is that hinting at Becky winning the belt back? Nope, that's called an outdated advertisement. Nice and simple. They've just not updated their information yet. Kuro says, like the one guy was kicked out of a shepherd sign. Was there a guy with a shepherd sign, or is that just shepherds saying that there was? BFG says, if that was one of the surprises, it was very underwhelming. What, Elias? I liked that. I thought it was funny. It doesn't always have to be people coming in as, like, immediate world champions. Sometimes it can just be fun. Megan says, maybe Elias saw what Santiago Cabrera was doing in Picard with the multiple characters and thought he would give it a go. We'll have a whole family by the end of the month. I mean, Mama Elias is going to be a whole thing. You know, baffling, terrifying. A real thing, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I stand by it. Guru says, no, there was. He was... Shane walked out by security. Oh. I did not see that. I'm glad that there's so many recaps today because I am struggling with these streams. Hector says, I need an Ezekiel WWE shirt just with his face on because his new look is great. Did I miss an entire match? Has Miz already won? I missed the entire match because of my stream. Oh, hey, it's Veer. Veer is the draw. Veer is the draw. Interesting. Is Veer a heel? Well, he just kicked Dominic, so I'd say so. And my stream's already popped again. Game wonderful. Let me just catch up. Boss Pedal says, double down. Register Tom Colohue as a liar.com. And then just post a big timestamped list of all the reports that were true. I mean, I wouldn't hate that. It'd be worth the £2 a month. Sean says, that was a quick match. Muggsy says, Veer. Kuro says, Veer. Megan says, he's finally bloody here. Of course he's in the draw segment. Ghost says, it's got to be Veer. He finally came. He is backed up badly. Poor guy. And Bailey says, what if Elias came out as Veer? Now that would have been the segment. That would have been a draw segment and a half, really. Come on, start working. Please. Do I have to say please to my my content? So it says, good of Veer to wear the spoiler warning colours on his debut. Fair. Fair. Our colours are yellow and black. Kuro says, George R.R. Martin must have finished those books. Hell must have frozen over on that one. This is taking forever. I don't understand why it's not just working. BT are this bad. So it says, now watch some future Endeavour Veer tomorrow. That would suck, but they probably will. Hector says, poor Ray and Dom, they're victims of Veer finally coming. They were in the splash zone. Oh, no. 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 Chelsea says, thoughts on Veer? He's there. I don't know what else we can actually say. Justin says, this first hour was something. Started well. You can't say we haven't had a variety of content. It's been different. And now Veer's off. And my stream's already crashed out again. I'm just going to pop onto my break screen. I'm going to go and get my PS4. I'm going to plug that in. And I'm just going to use BT that way because this is terrible. I'll be back in just a moment, guys. Please don't go anywhere. Okay, so the stream's actually stabilized a little. It's stabilized a little. I've cleared the zone. I can always go and get it later, but I'm getting annoyed. Ross says, not a great segment for Ezekiel, but if he's going to work with Owens, they can get him over. I don't think his opening segment was bad. I think it was entertaining. Bianca is a draw. That makes sense. Sai says, it's been a quick first hour. Enjoyed it so far. It has flown. That's true. Especially when you consider that the first half hour was just a promo. D. Freeman says, 2 of the worst debuts ever. Wow, harsh. Justin says, we went from Nakamura, Enzo, Cass, and Lashley to Veer and Ezekiel. Wow. To be fair, we also got Cody, so balance. Chelsea says, thoughts on the Cody Rhodes opener promo? It was good. I mean, he had the emotion, he had the acting, a little overacted at times. It really set out why he's come back, what he's planning to do, and he aimed himself squarely at Roman. I didn't hate it. I also like that Seth didn't overplay his hand. Well, Justin, there may be more. Maybe more to come. We do have Braun soon. But in the meantime, it looks like Bianca Belair is going to be our draw segment. And yes, the stream is immediately just conked out again. I know there's a commercial break coming, so now I'm going to go and grab my PS4. I'll be back in just a moment, guys. Please don't go anywhere. I'll see you in a moment. Hello again, everybody. Apologies for that. Technology. It's shit. Just got to do some fixing, some moving around now, so that I can actually pay attention to what's going on. Technology. Failing me in every curve. BT was not my greatest friend in the previous times that I've been trying to make this work and stream from it, but at least it has to be more reliable than BT on the fucking PC. And the PC is not the problem. I'm annoyed here. Give me audio. Give me audio. There we go. So I can at least get that working. Right, let me catch up. Hello again, everyone. Mogsy says, just seen them put some pyro on the ramps. Interesting, interesting. Like where we're going with that. Justin says, is Braun and Ciampa even call-ups though? They've been on and off Raw for like a month now. True, but so were several others. I know we haven't got like the shock factor that came from Nakamura, Enzo and Cass and that, but are there many people in NXT who would deliver that at the moment? There's not that many characters we actually connect with at this point in time. That's why we have 2.0. Sean says, I think what Edge is doing now would have worked for Aleister Black if there was going to be a faction for him. I saw Buddy Murphy and Zelina in it. I guarantee you it would have worked for Aleister Black because it was written for him. Chelsea says, I think Asuka is about to come back. That would be cool. I would certainly take that. Would be a great first feud for Bianca as well. BFG says, poor Tony, after that promo from Cody, he'll be crying into his gold-encrusted $50,000 steak and truffle mashed potatoes. Truffle mashed potatoes sounds horrible in every possible way. Every possible way. I have to try it. Right, let's see if this works. KJ says, and he's quoting from Tim Jarrell of PW Unlimited. That is a hell of a black guy. Of PW Unlimited, was just told by a source in the last few minutes a meeting began backstage at Raw that was described as unexpected. They don't have any other details this time. What a nothing report. What an absolute nothing report. Justin says, I'm expecting Alexa, Bailey or Asuka here. I think Becky comes out first though. Well, certainly I'm expecting some sort of surprise. Mogsy thinks Bailey. D. Freeman says Veer and Elias was just bad. Having Veer, aka Beer, squash two people when we've seen him get beat plenty of times. Yeah, we always forget the fact that Veer has come before. Chelsea says Veer gave me Cody Rhodes return vibes. Maggie says Jesse Davin has the best take on not Elias. He looks like a really jacked Stu Pickles. I can't really remember Stu Pickles, to be honest. Mogsy says looks like the EST might give the belt up. It's not sounding that way. It's not sounding that way. Chelsea says, does anyone know what Cody's WWE contract is worth? Because it's meant to be the most expensive in pro wrestling. It's not the most expensive in pro wrestling, I'll tell you that. Like, that's just no. What is happening here? I do not know what happened to Arai. KJ says, isn't Alexa getting married soon? She won't come back until after. I don't know. I haven't gone too deep into her personal life. I'm okay with not. Moggy says she's injured. She's very emotional, I'll tell you that. Doesn't sound like she's giving up any titles, guys. Not sure where you're getting that one from. Hector says, hitting the nostalgia button there, Tom. I remember the pops that Enzo and Cass got and the Revival got in their respective debuts were some of the best post-Mania moments. You don't have their level on NXT right now to debut. Kuro says Cody's contract isn't even top 5 most expensive. Correct. Not even close. Sean says, I think Bianca got that black eye when Becky did that flip drop kick. WrestleMania, it hit Bianca in the face. Fair. Fair. So yeah, no championship being given up or anything. We have some promo. Oh, just for the sake of promo. It was just Bianca celebrating. Well played. He sold us on a surprise. Clever. Braun Breaker versus Dolph Ziggler is next. Simon says, just dropping back in. Really pleased Sasha won again. Really amazed. She's looking really happy right now. She's been happy the entire time. Kura says, I'm curious about Roman's shoulder. I think everybody is. Not sure why the shoulder is being given so much attention, though. If you look at the images of the quote-unquote injury, it's not his shoulder. Absolutely not. Sai says, Bianca is getting booed here. I'm going longer term my double-term prediction with Becky, but by SummerSlam. I did not hear that personally. There's nothing wrong with not debuting and having surprise entrants everywhere. Again, Moxie? No, I disagree. You don't always have to have massive surprises. You don't always have to have massive interruptions. It's nice every now and then, honestly, to have a promo that isn't interrupted, because it's so rare. It is so rare. KJ says, like Tom said, there isn't star power to debut at the moment from NXT. Veer was famous on Twitter and was on main event every week, and Elias got repackaged and shouldn't be compared to Revival, Shinsuke, etc. There just is not the star power in NXT. Braun Breaker is the biggest star in NXT right now. And here he is. You got him. EO, maybe? That could work. Simon says the start of Rhea's heel turn on Liv begins into Edge's Grand Jury Stable faction. Does it, Simon? Or is that just your opinion? To be clear. Kuro says, because he was saying he popped his shoulder, but I'm thinking it was to take eyes off the actual injury. Everyone has really got attached to that, and it's not the case. Not that I can tell. The amount of people I've seen saying he popped his shoulder back in, then finished the match. Even in kayfabe, he didn't do that. When he popped his shoulder back in, the match was already over. So a lot of people are just misinterpreting everything as regards Roman Reigns. It is baffling. This, to me, suggests that the WWE trying to boost NXT ratings. And considerably at that. The fact that we have an NXT Championship match on Raw really does make me think there is a concern about NXT at the moment. I went back, Kuro, and just examined all the footage again. I can see the moment where he got his arm hurt, and that was the spear through the barrier. After that, he doesn't nurse it, but it shows hurt. He doesn't nurse it. He doesn't change the way he does things. He still does his deadlifts. He still throws people about. I'm pretty sure the finish that we got is the finish that was what we were booking. Justin says, worst Raw after Mania ever in my opinion so far. Bit extreme, mate. We've just started. Well, we haven't just started. We're about halfway through, but still. Hector says, do you think Fox/Universal have any say with post-Mania call-ups? They do not. Old Vince just give Raw the bigger moments. Vince would give SmackDown the bigger moments if it's up to him, just to be clear. Vince favours Fox. He has done for a long time. Sean says Roman pulled a Cora Jade when she was selling that popped out of place shoulder in the War Games match. Very repetitive as it were. Megan says, so Dolph is 41, but he's not the oldest man to have held the NXT Championship. Ooh, who's the oldest man? Who's the oldest man, Megan? Intrigued. Boss Pedal said, I was hoping after the tag title contenders with Asuka returning and Io called up to tag, reunite two-thirds of Triple Tails. See, what you've done there is you've basically said, what I was hoping is that everything incredible would happen. And it would just happen. You don't always get it, unfortunately. I'm having to restart my BT Sport again. BT's genuinely terrible. I don't know if it's just mine, but it's genuinely terrible here. Maybe it's because I'm so on the coast. Maybe my internet's not good enough when I'm streaming. But this is annoying. Simon says, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said Cody would close the show, Roman would open, Sasha would be in the middle of the show, she was on at the start, they got the order completely wrong. Yeah, I think what's happened there is that the WWE have worked out who is leaking information to Fightful about the show order, and I think someone's about to get fired. Kuro suggests Samoa Joe. Sean says Robert Roode. Sai Maggio, welcome, suggests Keith Lee. In the end, Kuro who has it correct. It was indeed Samoa Joe, about a year older than Dolph. See, I always love these little quizzes that we're getting. Hi, Sai, how you doing, mate? KJ says, do people forget Roman barely wrestles on SmackDown? I think last time he wrestled on SmackDown TV was versus Zayn, which was in December of last year, so they won't rush a vacation. No, I am confident, absolutely confident, that Roman will be maintaining the championships. I do not believe that there is a considerable injury. We'll find out by the end of the night, I'm sure. We'll find out. Ghost says Raw's not been bad by any means, but I'm not sure if it has much of a Raw after Mania feel just yet, excluding Cody starting the show. It kind of does for me. Do you want beach balls? I mean, beach balls are traditional. There's no Cesaro to rip them up, but beach balls could be fun. Adds a little bit more to it. I like what they did with Elias/Ezekiel. I thought it was funny. Outside of that, there is still plenty of time to get some surprises. And yeah, Cody was a good start. Jesus Christ, BT. Sai says Keith Lee is younger than I thought. He is. He looks like a grizzled old vet, as it were, but he's a little bit younger. Megan says Keith Lee is 37. So not far off, to be fair. Not far off. Mogsy says BT is not as good as Sky. It depends on what you're looking for. When it comes to, for the WWE, BT's way better because they actually promote the fact that they have wrestling. Whereas Sky never promoted any wrestling in any way. KJ says, worst Raw after Mania? The one after Mania 35 was disgusting. Anyone go back and watch that mess? I don't want to. Because I just don't have any faith in it working. Sean says, youngest and oldest woman to win Money in the Bank. No idea, Sean. No idea. What do people think? There's not been many women to win Money in the Bank so far, to be fair. There's not been many women's Money in the Bank matches. I know Carmella's had it. Bailey's had it. Alexa. Asuka is probably the oldest. So he says, did Paige win one? I don't believe she did. I believe she was out of action before they actually debuted the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. KJ says, Brock has to be oldest Money in the Bank and Asuka. Brock maybe, I don't know. Brock did it quite recently, so when he won it, that would make sense. Okay, so to nobody's surprise, BT Sport has stopped working on the PS4. So professional. Such wonderful professionalism that you get from me here. I do apologise for all of the technical issues that we're having because there are so many right now. So many. I'm going to try and switch it up again and see if I can actually get wrestling to work somehow, some way. I look forward to working something out that actually works in my favour. It would be lovely if technology actually worked. I spent quite a bit of time and effort and money upgrading this PC. The PC is not at fault. For some reason the BT Sport app just does not want to work. See if I can get it working. Boss Pedal says oldest was Mae Young. She did have to use a stair lift ladder, but she got up there. As long as she got up there, that's the important thing. Go says on a scale of 1 to 10, what are Braun Breaker's chances of winning the NXT Championship tonight? I don't know. I don't see any reason to have him win it, especially given the fact that he lost the match at Stand and Deliver. I do think this is going to end up being a tag match. It just makes the most sense to me that they're just going to throw it into a tag match and forget about the whole thing. I don't see any point having him win a championship on Raw and then having to go back to NXT to actually use it. Kura says, fun fact, Roman Reigns has a Canadian Football League championship ring despite the team he was not making the finals of the Grey Cup. He was given his own championship ring retroactively from 2005. The team he was on, because the team ordered too many rings before cutting the team thirds for 3 seasons. Kuro, I've lost track of basically everything you said there. There is a lot going on there in one sentence. I don't know football. I have no idea how to phrase that. Sai says, I used to watch on the BT website when the app crashed. No longer with BT, so I don't know if that's an option now. Well, I'm usually watching on the BT website. It's terrible when I'm streaming. It can't handle doing doing both things at once. So it works for a while and then seems to drop off. So I swapped to the PS4, which works to a much higher quality and also randomly stops working. Sean says, Alexa was youngest at 26 and Asuka was oldest at 39. Asuka seemed the obvious choice. I didn't know if Carmella or Alexa was younger. Gotcha, Kuro. Roman Reigns has a championship ring in the Canadian Football League. That's cool. Ziggler keeps doing things which are just designed to get hit. Megan says, I did the math. Rude was 41 when he won the NXT title. So very close to Joe. Very close. Bobby Roode, of course, was brought into NXT potentially for a training and a coaching role, was not actually expected to wrestle, and then started wrestling. Good times. The crowd are okay here. You can tell there's interest in the match, but you can tell there's also a lot of not interest in the match. It's a very even match. Braun Breaker isn't exactly in a dominant position here, as you would expect, given his, Simon says, is Bayley still returning to tonight? What do you mean still returning? What do you mean still returning, Simon? Has someone said that Bayley's returning? Maybe Bayley would be a good addition to Edge's faction. Everyone's talking about Edge's faction. Everyone's talking about Rhea Ripley and Tommaso Ciampa. More importantly, what about Bayley? She's not just Bayley. She'd be good in Edge's faction, maybe. Probably not, but, I'd rather have Rhea. Rhea would make more sense. But still, it's nice to jazz it up every now and then. Just go a bit crazy. If you are currently watching on Twitch, please do remember that you can hit the follow button and you'll get a notification every time we go live with watch-alongs or with spoiler warning. And if you're currently watching on YouTube, please remember that you can hit the like button. That little thumbs up can make a massive difference to the growth of the channel and almost guarantees us additional subscribers and additional viewers for every like. So please do consider it if you have not done so already. Kuro says, I have a question for chat. Who is the oldest person to have claimed the WWE Championship? Now, is this counting the WWF Championship? Because if that's the case, it may be Vince. Megan says, Bayley and Nikki Cross are only a couple of months apart in age. Both born in 89. Oh my god, I'm older than both of them. You walked yourself into that one, unfortunately. Sean says, think WWE would ever sign Christopher Daniels? I know he's good friends of AJ Styles. Being friends with a current wrestler means basically nothing to Vince McMahon. I don't think there's any interest in Christopher Daniels at this point in time. You've got to remember, the WWE are interested in characters over wrestlers. When it comes to Christopher Daniels, I don't think it's easy to see what his character is. I don't think it's easy to just look at him and say, okay, this is who he is. Which is what the WWE like, what they much prefer. So I just don't think there's much interest. Bayley says, if Rhea leaves for the Dark Side faction, where is Liv going to end up? Fighting them? In a faction of AJ Styles? Bullet Club? Literally, the more I said, the more I believed. Bullet Club Morgan would be fun. Like, it just sounds like a great concept before you even start talking about it. Bullet Club Morgan. Sean says, think we'll see AJ or Edge tonight? Yes, and yes. I am confident Edge is going to be our next Raw segment. We do have one more Raw segment before the main event. The main event, of course, is going to be Roman. Makes sense. But we have another Raw segment. So I'd imagine we're going to get a big name. We've already seen Cody. We've already seen Seth. We haven't seen Becky. So that's a possibility. But Bianca did say something about her taking time off. Kuro says, yes, it was indeed Vince. Wonderful. Boss Pedal says, don't tease me with Gangrel Bailey. Oh, that's an idea. Simon says, Bailey was in the crowd watching last night. Took a backstage photo with Sasha and Naomi, Titus O'Neil, after they won the tag team titles. Well, Bailey is there now. Bailey's there, it's just whether or not they choose to use her. And whether or not she was listed on the call sheet, though of course the call sheet that was leaked has already been proven wrong. So I said I had to go back and watch again. Bianca was definitely getting booed as she closed out that promo. Don't think she said anything to encourage it. Maybe just your Raw After Mania crowd. Maybe. I'm surprised by that. I don't doubt you, to be clear, but I'm surprised by that. Love Gamer says, Live Club for Life. Live Club for Life. Maybe Watch Club. I mean, Watch Me is her thing. They are advertising the 6-man tag match. Austin Theory and the Usos versus Finn Balor and RK Bro. Also a contender, I'm sure, for Draw segment. KJ says, hey, I have a scoop on what supposedly happened in the emergency. It's more so of an NXT story, has nothing to do with Raw. Okay, tell me more and make sure to source it. Someone 7 says, do you like NXT 2.0? Haven't watched enough of it to really be able to say, though we will be doing a 2.0 watch along tomorrow. Our last show of WrestleMania weekend will be the watch party for NXT. And then, on Thursday, we have a very special show coming that I think this is a perfect time to really talk about. I will be joined by Brillman, otherwise known as Gleb, someone who works in the Czech Republic as a pianist and also as a wrestling journalist. He will be joining me to talk about the financials of NXT. It is a financial, and not NXT, AEW. It will be a financial analysis of All Elite Wrestling. I've spoken in the past about the fact that that AEW has not made a lot of money and has struggled to get out of financial ruin, essentially, but are building infrastructure in the meantime. Well, it's time to put our money where our mouth is and talk about the actual numbers that we're able to find and what has given me that impression and what has made me think that. So on Thursday, we will be doing a live financial analysis of AEW. Set your reminders, folks. Ghost says maybe Asuka would be good in Edge's faction. Asuka in Japan / NXT was indestructible, so it could revitalise her character a bit. That's not a bad shout, actually. I think Asuka could be dark enough. Edge could be talking on her behalf. I think I could get behind that. Lots of false finishes so far. This feels like an NXT match. Kuro says, now here's a harder question. Who is the youngest to hold the WWE WWF Championship? Wasn't it Randy? I think it was Randy. Megan says, Daniels has a prime position in talent relations in AEW, which I don't see him leaving anytime soon. He's been a key figure in negotiating the cross-promotion deals, especially in Japan. It's always worth thinking about little things like, why would anyone leave? Now, obviously, Cody Rhodes left, but Cody Rhodes is a misnomer. Cody Rhodes is the exception, not the rule. And Mogsy says, as regards the Edge faction, and a very big guy, a big name is joining. I think Braun Breaker's about to win the championship. What the hell? This is confusing. Braun Breaker lost in the main event of Stand and Deliver, only to win on an episode of Monday Night Raw right in the middle of the card. Did they just want Braun Breaker to win a championship on his debut? Sean says Bailey also had a sign that said Shayna sucks. Well, maybe that means she's going to SmackDown. KJ says, you sure she didn't mention Becky? I remember the boo, but I missed it. I don't recall. I was having technical issues at the time. Sai says, I'm looking forward to that on Thursday. Thanks. Good to hear. Good to hear. I'm doing what I can with that one. AEW financials are not particularly public. We've been researching pretty intently to find whatever we could, and we'll be sharing what we can. Sean says, if AEW doesn't make enough money, will Tony be forced to close his doors? That depends on the suppliers and the investor. We will be talking about that on Thursday. Sai says, Braun is a big name. Braun is a big name. He's a big name. Like, he's a big name. Ghost says, is it Brock? Wolfgang just says, well, yeah, that's confusing to me. Megan says, why not do this at Stand and Deliver? This is confusing as all hell. I am thinking that they just wanted to debut Braun Breaker with a championship win. I'm thinking that's it. Justin says, I'm disappointed so far, but still half left. Bobby Lashley up next. Maybe that will save the day for us. Sai says, I think the NXT title may be a case of plans change. This doesn't look like a main roster call-up. Not anymore, it doesn't, no. BFG says, people are tagging you in that report from Pro Wrestling Unlimited about that meeting on Twitter. Okay, let's have a quick look and see what's being said. Because at the moment, I've got to be honest, it sounds like a nothing report from what you've brought in so far. I don't see any tags. I don't see any tags, guys. I'm in my notifications. I don't see my name in there. Although Bronson Steiner has just popped up in my who to follow. Irony. KJ says, I guess it's just that it's more eyes on Raw than the NXT pay-per-view. Probably, yeah, that's a fair point. It'll be a combination of things, but I'm interested to see what they're actually doing with it. Maybe Dolph picked up an injury? There's a lot of possibilities. KJ says, I think they should keep him in NXT so they can get more known. Raw would definitely get him known faster. There's a balancing act there. Like, if you want someone to get well known, you would have them on every single show. But at the same time, that means they get oversaturated. So there is a balancing act. Simon says, going to miss Becky a lot if she's taking some time off. Her outfits are very outrageous. She imitates Lady Gaga. She's gone wild and a little bit insane in the best possible way. Not just deciding what Seth wears. They would often work together on deciding what gear, what suit Seth would wear, I should say, because they would pick the most ridiculous thing possible. But also, just as herself, it's so magnificently extra that I can't help but kind of love it. Like, I never want to boo Becky anyway, but I can't help but love what she's doing now. Kuro says, Randy Orton was the youngest to win the World Heavyweight title. I didn't watch it at the time, but I knew. Sean says, I think Kevin Owens defended the NXT title on Raw one time, and Adam Cole, so this wasn't the first time. Not the first time Adam Cole defended the championship against Pete Dunne at Survivor Series. I don't know what happened to Pete Dunne. Haven't seen him in a long time. I think he just sort of vanished. Kuro says, Brock Lesnar was the youngest to win the WWE/F title. Indeed. Were we confused? Were we? Okay, where am I looking for this screenshot, BFG? Where am I looking? I've just caught your message, Hector. Thank you for the update. I appreciate it. I may consider it in future, but for now, I'm okay, thank you. That's true, Megan did guess Randy. This is why we need a stat master. Or a stat queen, shall we say. Justin, the name that I give to him is name redacted, because the name is redacted. I'm accessing Twitter right now, BFG. I'm not seeing any tags. Not seeing any tags. But yeah, by all means, send it to me. Muggsy says, any Lacey Evans news? I don't believe she's there. They've been in constant contact with her, but Lacey Evans is taking a little extra time for maternity leave, which is fine if you ask me. I have no issue with that. Hector says, if Bobby is up next, I could see a surprise here. To be fair, guys, it's the Raw after Mania. I think every single segment we can sort of expect a surprise. Ghost of Nay says, Pete Dunne is a butcher now, and he likes it when they call him Butch for short. Butch the Butcher. MVP is in the ring. Now, MVP was not there at WrestleMania, primarily to make sure that Bobby Lashley was well received. So I think this is going to be our formal face turn. Simon says, a fun fact from Mania 38, Vince McMahon is the oldest pro wrestler to win a match at WrestleMania. Fabulous Moolah / Mae Young, the oldest in WWE history. And Kervin, welcome, says, big fans of Butch. Remember Butch? Remember that guy? It's a strong putting over for Bobby Lashley here. Justin says, could Lashley turn on MVP? I'll say no, but wouldn't be shocked. I think we're getting a formal face turn here. Bobby Lashley's been very well received at WrestleMania. He was playing face. He's playing face now. I think this is a formal face turn. So I'll take it. I'm happy with it. It's overdue. Lashley is one of those that the only reason he wasn't already a face is because WWE just got in his way. They finally stepped out of the way, and now here we are. Mogsy says they're splitting up MVP and Lashley. I wouldn't say that yet. I'd give it time. I mean, it's possible, sure, but we can't guarantee that just yet. Simon says, who do you see Bianca facing at WrestleMania Backlash if Becky is taking some time off? Number of different possibilities. They may be waiting for next week for Alexa Bliss, or Bayley, or Asuka, or any number of people. Or we just get Bianca versus Doudrop, which would also be a fun match. Those two can do pretty good things in the ring. Good pop for Bobby Lashley. He seems very happy to be there and in that position. The crowd are responding very positively to him. Will we see Omos here? Hector says, I'd like to see MVP turn on Bobby with a new client. Omos would be a good shout. Maybe MVP's joining Edge's faction, guys. Did we think about that? Maybe MVP's joining. Maybe Carlito. That is a strong Bobby chant from the fans. MVP playing orchestrator of that one. KJ says, would be nice to get the Hurt Business back. I don't know. I think that would keep Lashley in a difficult position. Mogsy says, looks like MVP is face. I think he's just following along with Lashley on that one. Kevin says, wait, Becky Lynch is going to take a break. That's what Bianca suggested in her promo. Lashley Omos is probably one of the most forgettable matches of WrestleMania, to be honest. But they're framing it quite nicely. I did speak earlier about a concussion check that Bobby Lashley undertook. Passed with flying colours, but he did hit the back of his head on one of the ring posts. Justin says MVP might be turning on Lashley. That would solidify the face turn. And of course, here comes Omos. So now might be the time. Kuro says, interesting fact, The Rock and Roman Reigns both were signed to rival teams in the CFL, both in the same province in Canada. Interesting. Getting us all the Canadian facts today. Sean says, if Becky is taking time off, is Alexa the next big female draw on Raw? No, at the moment, Bianca is the next big female draw on Raw. Gotcha, BFG, no worries. D. Freeman says, do we get to see Edge faction tonight? Yes. Kevin says, Omos really needs one more season. Or more seasoning. You like some basil or a bit of paprika? One or the other. He needs a bit of help, that's true, but in time. Ed says, hey Tom, Omos is a big guy. Could he join Edge's group? I heard that a big guy might join Edge. A big guy, you say? You've heard about like a big guy potentially joining Edge? I mean, I'd heard about a big name, like a big name. Omos doesn't even need a microphone. The fans don't really want a rematch. They don't. Megan says, I'm still going to be royally pissed off that the New Day versus Ridge and Sheamus only got about 2 minutes after getting cut. Yeah. Muggsy says, Omos needs a manager. He's not really a good talker. And Simon says, the crew, we're also very happy. Yep, I know. I know. MVP has indeed turned on Bobby Lashley, formalising that face turn. And it means Omos gets a mouthpiece and a manager. Makes perfect sense to me. I'm happy with that. Very happy. Hector says MVP will be the perfect mouthpiece for Omos. And here we are. Justin said, there it is. Muggsy says, oh my god, his turn. Wolfgamer said, yep, saw that coming. Megan says, I called it. MVP and Omos. Sean says, face turn solidified. Megan says, excuse me, while I be very smug for the next few minutes. And Muggsy says, perfect. It says, Simon, is it the Free Live crew? I don't know who that is or what that is. I'd imagine it's a reference to something, though. So you go ahead and you refer to your something. KJ says, I still wanted Bobby and MVP to go at Roman and Heyman. Me too, me too. Unfortunately, that day does not seem like coming just yet. But you know what is coming? Veer. There's no real reason that I said that, but I did say it. And you all heard me say it. And you can all feel the burning shame that I have about saying it. Kuro says MVP found his new MVP. Wouldn't say that's the case, because there's already an MVP, and it's MVP. MVP shakes hands with Omos, making it formal. Ghost said, let's say that Edge's faction consists of Damian, Omos, MVP, Rhea and Liv. Who would you say is an ideal interim faction that could go to war with them? AJ, Finn, Sasha and Naomi, Bobby. How about that as a 5? That could be a fun 5. We're getting a recap of issues between Rhea and Liv, which is good, to be honest, because I missed that. Sean says, wasn't AJ the mouthpiece for Omos? He was, and now he needs a new one. Ed says, TNA, Conan, Road Dogg and Ron Killings. Oh. Megan says, just retweeted my tweet from last night about MVP and Omos. You are smug, aren't you? Look at you. Rhea has talked to management and got a tag team championship match next week. It looks like it's all good. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Kuro says Alexa Bliss to join Edge. I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't think so with Ciampa. I like Alexa as an independent. I'd rather have her leading a faction, but we are where we are. You were right. You are allowed to be smug. Carmella and Queen Zelina are on their way down to the ring. KJ says, I think we get a debut or return here. Toxic Attraction. A face tag team, Io and Kaylee Ray. Nope, it's Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Natalya and Shayna Baszler. D. Freeman disagrees with us. Says Omos joining MVP is not good. Omos is half as good as Strowman and he wasn't good, but if this doesn't help Lashley, it will be bad. I'm sure it will help Lashley. Lashley's capable of standing solo, and of course it does add a bit of extra fire to the feud of Omos that looks like it's set to continue, so I'm sure he will benefit. Simon says, have you ever watched Asuka's YouTube channel? Yes, I have. Personality shows a lot more than she does on WWE TV. Yeah, because she's in charge of that. So they're not showing a character, they're showing a person on Kanachan. It's like you see a lot more personality from Adam Cole in his Twitch channel that you ever saw in NXT, because it's a different person. One's a character, one's a person. Wolfgamer says heel team versus heel team. Okay then. Yep, that's what we got. Kevin says the old Nikki Cross to join Edge. That's not a bad shout. I don't think Rhea and Nikki would join in the same one, but if Nikki takes off the trappings, as it were, and is reborn, that could kind of work. Megan says, is a surprise tonight that there is no surprises. There's no debuts, and Veer and Ezekiel were it. I don't want it, but it's looking that way, isn't it? Maybe Smackdown will get everybody. Maybe the NXT Championship change was the big surprise. Maybe that was it. Right. Let's see what's going on with this supposed report about a surprise meeting. Okay, so I see you've sent me a picture of someone tagging me and asking a question. I have no idea what that's in reference to. No idea. Not a great start. Sean says, possible they call up Gigi and JC without Mandy? I don't think they would. I think they would just bring Mandy up anyway. After all, Braun Breaker was just on TV and he's a champion now. D. Freeman says, what if Dolph was the Raw call-up? I like that. I like that indeed. Legend 17, welcome back. Says Roman's Combined Kingdoms. I like it. He's going to be celebrating his Combined Kingdoms later on tonight. And Simon says, do you see Rhea turning on Liv next week? More likely than this week, yes. The fact that there's now a championship match certainly throws some teases. And I do think Rhea Ripley might well be joining that faction. If you're watching on Twitch, please remember that you can click the follow button and you'll get a notification every time we go live. If you have your Amazon Prime linked to your Twitch account, you can also subscribe to the channel for absolutely free. So you can get one free subscription per month, I believe it is. But you only get one channel with an Amazon Prime. So if you have it free, by all means, I would really appreciate you spending it my way. In the meantime, if you're also watching on YouTube, be sure to click like. That little thumbs up can make a massive difference. And subscribe if you haven't already. We are on 11 likes, which is a pretty good start. So I don't think this tag match is going to last very long. In fact, not very long at all. Particularly when you consider that up next is our second draw segment. I'm expecting Edge for our second draw segment. It just makes the most sense. Something involving Edge and, you know, Edge and good old-fashioned AJ. And of course Damian Priest. Let's not forget Damian Priest. He is now involved after all. Zelina Vega has stolen the microphone. She has something to say. She's not happy with Carmella. Zelina's diction is just so slow-paced. Kuro says, best thing I've seen, Elias Ezekiel. Looks like a jacked up Stew Pickles. Megan did mention this earlier. Jesse Davin, I believe it was. BFG says, that was taken from the original tweet. It was sent out from the guy from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and they're asking you if you know anything. I have no idea. I am, after all, streaming right now. From the reply area. Got it, BFG. Because I'm streaming, I tend not to get news while I'm streaming. I don't think this match is actually going to happen. I'm getting the feeling it's just going to be Carmella versus Zelina. Yeah. I've mentioned before now that WrestleMania is the season finale for WWE. The Raw after Mania is the season premiere. So what they like to do is change things. That's why you get these surprises, that's why you get the debuts and the returns on the Raw after Mania. It's the beginning of something new. Things change. Sean says, will Corey wrestle when they have something for him, or are the reports of him being cleared not true? He is cleared to wrestle, they just haven't given him anything particularly interesting creatively so far. Maybe Carmella and Zelina Vega will be wrestling Index. Megan says, I was waiting for Zelina to boot Corey. Kind of sad she didn't. Sounded like she would, but sounds like she also has a crush, which is awkward. Hector says Zelina always delivers with her ring gear. She does. Absolutely she does. And KJ says Zelina as a face will be good. She can finally win matches. Maybe. Maybe. Zelina versus Bianca is a maybe. After all, I think they just need to have some people involved at this point and mix and match a little bit. Kevin says, I wish Charlotte changed her character to something new and fresh. She's different than she was. There's been an evolution to Charlotte's character since Survivor Series, no question. But she is still the same heel she's always been. The thing is, as a heel, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If people hate you, then you're doing something right. I don't think people realise how good Charlotte is when they're literally sharing all of their hatred of her. Moxie says, I can see a Zelina push. I don't know how big a push we're going to be looking at. I think Carmella's the more likely one, but we'll see. And Bailey says, will Dakota Kai ever get a call-up, or is this passing her by? I don't think, necessarily, pardon me, that she wants a call-up. I think she would rather still have a Twitch. Hector says, is this an Austin Theory segment incoming? It seems so. Right before the draw segment, you get Austin Theory. That's a bold choice. I wonder if we're going to see Vince. Sean says, are you surprised Sasha has kept the same character since NXT? No, not at all. As I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. D. Freeman says, 2 questions. Outside of Andre and Big Show, how many 7-footers are really good in wrestling? I think you've nailed it there. Also, how did using those big man matches help Undertaker in his early years of the streak? Because the streak didn't become the streak till about that time he wrestled Edge, who was undefeated at the time. That's why I think Omos just doesn't work. The streak became the streak when he was wrestling Randy Orton. That's the moment at which they first started marketing it as the streak and beating the streak and the like. As regards Undertaker working big guys, yeah, not many of them were great. The Undertaker was a big guy. He was great. There are big men who can do it. There are. I don't want to automatically rule someone out just because he's tall. I get that you're not a fan and I respect your opinion on it. He is still green. That's a fact. He's also still very young and has a lot of time to learn. Mowgli says, how good does Vince look? Far too good for a man his age. And Megan says, very careful editing of the Vince Stunner, I see. Indeed. They kind of had to. They absolutely had to. Austin Theory is backstage. Looks like we're going to get some sort of promo. We have the Usos in play. Randy Orton might be our draw segment player. Usos giving him shit. Ghost says, decent edit of the world's worst stunner. The editing team has certainly earned its stripes. At times they are the only ones. But the editing team have certainly earned those stripes. Kevin says the biggest draw right now. Austin Theory or Vince McMahon? Wolf Gamer says, damn, I love the Usos. I just love that they're just ripping into him. They're having a great time. It's nice to see a little intensity from Austin Theory, to be honest. They've definitely brought that out of him. Randy Orton is going to be our draw segment. Means our last hour is going to have Roman, Randy, and Edge. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. KJ says, good promo by Theory. I completely agree. Just a solid promo. RK Bros, the Raw Tag Team Champions, will of course be facing off with the Usos as the Smackdown Tag Team Champions. Not the first time we've seen this combination, but with the addition of Finn Balor and Austin Theory, makes it slightly different. Nice to see that they remember that Finn Balor existed. Sometimes I worry that they forget. Simon says, do you see Becky taking time off like Sasha last year after Mania 37, coming back around at SummerSlam time? I'm going to wait and see what more information we get, because in the time that Becky found that she was pregnant, she was planning to take time off from the WWE. That was reported by yours truly. I was the only person to report it. And then it happened. So the plan at that time was to go until about SummerSlam, but we'll wait and see what actually happens on it. Mogsy says, 5 champions in one ring. I'm down for that. Hector says, that's what Austin Theory needs, a serious side to him, kind of like Riddle, where he's silly backstage, but in the ring, he flips a switch. I definitely think we're building towards Austin Theory taking the United States Championship from Finn Balor at this point. And KJ says, damn, is Finn getting a commercial entrance? Seems so, yes. Now, as we're heading into the final hour, I'm going to take the opportunity to pop to the bathroom and give myself a little stretch because my neck's cracking a little bit. So I'm just going to go into my break page and I'll be back very shortly. Please don't go anywhere. I'll see you in a moment. I'm also very glad that Finn Balor's actually getting a full entrance, not going to lie. Not going to lie. Hector says, I'm not against Austin Theory taking the title from Finn. If it means him getting to be tag team with AJ, I will wish it into existence. You might have to keep wishing a little bit longer, but I know a lot of people are really excited about that possibility. KJ says, Finn got his entrance, good. And Mogsy says, Finn getting a full entrance. KJ is suggesting Joe Gacy with Edge. Spot on. Nothing works better than Joe Gacy with Edge. Megan just says Finn. And Sean says Finn has new side plays. I had not spotted that. I like that Randy Orton was annoyed there that Finn Balor didn't stop and say hi to him. Finn Balor, a very popular man backstage. For anyone not aware, he is a very popular man backstage. People love this guy. Austin Theory, of course, backed by the Usos, who are not particularly happy at carrying him. But if you're going to be backed by the Usos. Megan says, Finn strikes me as the kind of guy you'd never hear a bad thing about. I literally never have. I've only ever heard good things about the man. There's not many, to be fair, who are like that. Who you never hear anything bad about. Everyone has their gripes and everyone has their complaints and everyone has moments where they're just not happy with someone. Finn Balor is never the person they're unhappy with. Sean says, do we see this match going very long? Not very long. Maybe 10-15 minutes. Not too long. And KJ says, is it me or is Raw just... Or Raw usually doesn't have a ramp, it's just flat. It's a slightly bigger arena than they used to. KJ says, Finn's a good dude, he's never complained. I'm sure he has complained. He's just never complained to anyone who actually would follow up on it. Mogsy says, love that Randy Orton is doing that Finn hand thingy. Well, he's doing the thing. Everyone's behind this guy. Everyone just feels really bad that he lost the Universal Championship the way he did. Nobody was happy with the way that went down. Nobody. I am just trying to refresh my stream. It's not working again. I do apologise. Let me see if I can maybe get it working on the PS4 again. Eventually I'll get something that works. Today might not be that day, but eventually I'll get something that works. That's a no. That's a no. I don't know why I bother sometimes. Right, that definitely isn't working. Hector says, Usos hyping up Austin Theory just to have him lose the match for them. Could get into a story where Austin Theory just can't win to the point when Vince had doubts in him. Is that not where he is already? Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Right, so I'm going to have to go PS4 now because it's not working on the PC at all. Oh, wonderful, wonderful technology. Sean says, Finn, Randy and Roman are great guys. Never seen any bad things about them. There are no bad things. The bad things have never happened. No internet. I do not have no internet connection. What the hell? It's right there. Jesus Christ, it's an exercise in patience. Megan says, question for you all to guess. What is the combined age of all the men in this match? Ooh. Theory is definitely the youngest, I agree with that. I like where KJ is going with this. D. Freeman says, what's going on with the stream? Because I might be able to help. Essentially, my BT Sport doesn't want to play on my PS4 or on my PC. So I'm doing what I can and hoping for the best. Sometimes it's working out, sometimes it isn't. There's nothing I can do about it. This is one of the reasons I've not been streaming Monday Night Raw watch-alongs, to be blunt. Mogsy says, is it just me, or is anyone else clamouring for Riddle to eventually take a run at Roman Reigns for the big prize? I think Roman Reigns at the moment is just so far beyond anybody else that Matt Riddle feels like he's nowhere even close. Even though, with the tag team that he's got, it's working pretty well. Bailey says, can you get BT Sport on your TV? Not on this TV, no. On the downstairs TV, yes, but I can't stream downstairs. I can only stream upstairs. I'm not bringing my big TV upstairs. I still need an actual TV to use. Thing is, I'm in a commercial break again already, so I hope I haven't missed anything. No, Moxie, Austin Theory is not Bloodline. They don't like him. They don't like him at all. Marcus, how you doing, mate? Been a little while, hope you're good. Says, I think Endgame is Cody versus Roman and Cody win champion? I'm guessing that's championship. I'm thinking we're going to get Cody versus Roman around SummerSlam time, at which point Roman will lose the WWE Championship. And then around September time, for the UK pay-per-view against Drew McIntyre, Roman would lose the Universal Championship. Megan says, any more guesses? 204. That's actually quite low, isn't it? Should have gone higher. I've said 204. I've committed to it. So at the moment, the PS4 is working. If it stops working, I'll swap back to the PC side. Just for some reason, nothing works for me. I think it may be internet related, unfortunately. Which I also get from BT. But we'll see how that goes. Marcus says, although I'm a fan of AEW, I'm glad Cody is in WWE. I think it's the best of both worlds when it comes to Cody. Very close. Says Megan. Very close, Tom. 214 is the answer. Randy 42, Finn 40, Riddle and Uso, they're all 36, and Theory is 24. I knew it would be 200 something. You do bring us the best questions. When it comes to Cody Rhodes, I think it's the best for everybody involved that he left AEW, who will not miss him, and has joined WWE, who can really use him. Sean says, do you see Roman giving back once his reign is over? Yeah. Absolutely. Mogsy says, just seen a tweet saying this. Having 5 shows back to back in the same city is a bad idea. The crowd sucks tonight. The crowd does not suck tonight. The crowd's fine. The crowd's been fine. The crowd really enjoyed that Ezekiel segment. Boos for Bianca outside. I think the crowd's been absolutely fine. The crowd are pretty hot for RK Bro, I'll say that. Something about Randy just gets people popping. KJ says, I don't think Cody goes back to AEW. What do you think, Tom? Maybe. There is way too many years in the future. Way too many. I think if he wins, for example, the WWE Championship in the first couple of years, then maybe 3 or 4 years on, he does look on the other side and think, maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll win that AEW Championship that I never did. It depends really why he was so keen to leave AEW. That's the information we need now. Sean is disappointed at the lack of call-ups. Mogsy says, Bobby had a great pop. He did and will continue to get them. And Justin says, splitting up Vega, Carmella and Liv Rhea is not a smart choice. I would just split Liv and Rhea. Well, certainly we're not looking right now like we've got a very good tag division going on, I'll tell you that. KJ says the crowd is fine. Wait till Randy gets tagged. Bailey says RK Bro reminds me of Team Hell No. It shouldn't work, but somehow it does. It absolutely does. Marcus says never say never. Honestly, it depends on the scenario. As regards Cody, yeah, never say never. As regards The Undertaker, never. Stop it. Stop it. We just have absolute carnage in the ring right now. It's gone mental. Kura says I should mention while it's in the same city, it is a half-hour difference from this arena to the one they used last night for Mania. And for Dallas, that could be a totally different community area. Fair. Austin Theory has just pinned Finn Balor again, which makes me even more confident that WrestleMania Backlash will feature a United States Championship match between the two. D. Freeman says, how would Cody win the main title in WWE? Look at his AEW run, because he should have won their title at first when he was super hot. No, Jericho was the right guy. Jericho to Moxley was perfect. Or does it feel like they're doing the same AEW storyline, but this time he wins the title? Doesn't feel the same at all. Feels very, very different. This time, after all, it's all about Roman. Hector says, I wish Roman would come out and just bury the WWE title and just leave it in the ring. I'm aware it probably won't happen, but it would make him even more of a heel in my opinion. No, I agree. I would love it if Roman said, I don't want this championship. And we get a tournament, which Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins is the final match of. I've said it before, I'll happily say it again. I mean, that makes sense to me. We have a recap of Edge's entrance at the moment, which means Edge up next. Kevin says, wait, Elias is back. Was he? I know we had someone earlier. We had his little brother Ezekiel. I don't know if Elias is back per se. Sean says, was Moxley to Kenny perfect? Maybe? I think it made sense. All the champions in AEW have been very different, and I think that's a good thing. And here we have Edge making his entrance. Megan says, I don't like this for Finn. He's going to lose this little twerp of a knockoff Tyler Breeze, isn't he? I did ignore a word there, Megan. You know how much that word hurts the people that you say it to. So you must be careful with the great power that you have with that word. And yeah, he's probably going to lose. Finn Balor's not doing great things right now, and I don't think he's going to get any better. Justin says, 2 out of 10 Raw so far. My expectations were high because it's Raw after Mania and coming off a great Mania. There's still plenty of star power coming. I wouldn't go as low as 2 out of 10, but I get why people aren't particularly enthused. Megan says, maybe don't show AJ hitting his head on the entrance. Hopefully not. Hector says the Edge entrance looks even more amazing with the screenshots. They picked the perfect moments. Kai says, what do you think the new belt will look like? I don't know if there is a new belt, first and foremost. I'll wait and see if there is a new belt first, in order to then speculate. I don't know if Roman's even going to keep both belts. I would love it if he just abandoned the WWE Championship entirely because it's beneath him. Moxley loving the theme. Kuro loving the entrance. And Wolfgamer loving the entrance as well. Megan says, I'm in love with this Tron for Edge. You'd never imagine that you could change Edge's theme and people would be even more in love with it. But here we are. So it says, for people waiting for call-ups, we have Smackdown yet. We do. Smackdown is, of course, on Friday, and I feel it needs people a lot more. Justin says, Theory is the right guy to hold the US title at this point. I kind of agree, to be honest. I kind of agree that Austin Theory will be a good US champion, depending on who he's facing off against. But I do think that's a kind of a waste of Finn Balor. But to be fair, a waste of Finn Balor is basically Finn Balor's career since the first night he debuted at SummerSlam. Kai says, I hope there's a new belt, but it would be funny if he relinquishes it and said he doesn't need it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just something a bit different and also just a little bit dickish. Just a little bit Roman Reigns, you know? Moxie says, God, I love Edge's new theme. Lots of love for the theme. Marcus says, next AEW champion is definitely MJF. That's what I expect as well. I expect MJF to be the next guy. Megan says, Austin Theory is a little twerp. Yep. And that makes him a good heel. Makes him a good heel in my book. Hector says, Edge went from being a disciple in a cult-like stable to now being the leader of one. Life comes full circle. It does. Edge has sort of been wanting to recreate the Brood concept for a while. He really quite liked it. He felt he could give back using that way. He hasn't been giving back much so far, so I think it's about time he did something. We'll see how it actually plays out. We'll see how it goes. I just remember the Brood entrance that he did. I think it was a SummerSlam. It was good times. Sean says, do you think pairing Sami and Tay was a good call? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They've been magnificently terrible. It's been great. Loved it. Justin says, having one men's world title belt while having two women's and two tags makes no sense. I agree. I 100% agree. The unification makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. Dave Freeman says, the Austin Theory whole storyline is lame, kind of. Chosen one gimmick, have never worked, asked Drew, and that Tyler Breeze cam thing is weak. But what really hurts is you making him a goofy, then he gets beaten some guys who, when it lose to him, it hurt more than it helped him. The big benefit to Austin Theory is Vince McMahon. Now, ultimately, you've got to remember, getting over is not based on winning matches. It's not. It's not based on what you win, it's not based on what you lose. It's based on making people care. And the fact that so many people hate Austin Theory means that he's over. Bailey says, does Johnny Knoxville appear on Smackdown this week? I don't expect so. I'd imagine at this point he goes home and tries to nurse his wounds. Stranger things have happened, but I don't expect it, personally. Kai says, I haven't watched WWE since Mania 37. Want to get back into it after last night's Mania. Can I ask, was Reigns the right man to win last night? 100% he was, yes. Roman Reigns right now is not just at the top of his game, he's at the top of the game. He was absolutely correct. Sean says, hopefully this unification isn't leading to the brand split ending. I don't see that, no. The issue with the brand split ending is Fox and USA being different networks. They don't want to be advertising the other show. Marcus says, Edge is definitely a two-time Hall of Famer by the end of this run. Is he already a Hall of Famer? I'm pretty sure he is, isn't he? Hector says, last time Edge had a stable, he had the Edge heads. Nothing will be better than that. Ghost says, while highly unlikely, just consider this. What if Gangrel became a disciple of Edge's ministry, the teacher becomes a student? Yeah, highly unlikely. There are reasons for that. The crowd are chanting, we are sheep. Love it. I'm happy with the crowd, to be honest. Kai says, I thought so. I just thought the match was a bit underwhelming. The match was underwhelming. That's absolutely correct. But Roman's matches in general are a lot better than that. Justin says, Omos versus Veer coming soon. I'd imagine Bobby Lashley has a lot to say about that. Damian Priest on the way down next. Moxie says, could we see Fox trying to make a deal for Raw? Yes, they already have. And WWE said no. Sean says, imagine how good this would be if this was Alistair. It's still good, Sean. To be clear, it's still good. Like, it would be good if it was Alistair. It is good that it's Edge. It's all very good. Damian Priest also wearing a suit and also looking fantastic. You know what? The fact that this entire faction is apparently built around suits, I'm very, very happy with this. I'm jealous of Edge's attire. I like what's going on with Damian Priest here. Naturally, this has to be followed up with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler. So I says, I like it. Damian is the punishment. We're going a bit Four Horsemen now. Kai says, how long has Reigns held the belt? Feels like ages now. Was it longer than Brock's Universal reign before Rollins beat him at Mania? Yes, it is. It's a little bit longer now, en route to considerably longer. Roman has held the championship since SummerSlam 2020. In 4 months, he will have held it for 2 years. And it's still good. Hector says, did you hear Edge call Damian Priest punishment? Good shout. Absolutely. It's his name after all. Megan says, oh my, Priest in a suit. Moxley says, Damian looks fantastic. And Go says, punishment for the guilty leads me to think the grand jury name is likely. They've literally referred to it as grand jury on several occasions. Dave Freeman says, is Austin Theory heat good heat or X-Pac heat? I want to be clear. If you're a heel, then being hated is good. X-Pac heat, as a general rule, isn't actually a thing. It's not. Is that a we don't care chant? I like that. Yeah, there's no such thing as X-Pac heat. See, good heel heat is failed heel heat. There are times when I've heard some people say, The Miz has go away heat. He's literally the best sort of heel. It's not a thing. Kai, don't you worry. This is an Ask Me Anything stream. This is an Ask Me Anything stream. The fact that you're asking questions basically guarantees me content if there's any slow moments of the watch along, so I appreciate it. Justin says 583 days, I believe. That is a big number. Wolfgamer says, if this could happen, I'd love to see Edge's new stable versus the House of Black. It will not happen. Guy says, I'm surprised he's still over and people aren't bored with how long it's been. Fair. Jermaine says, well, Tom, I see Ripley beating up Morgan next week after they lose the title match to Sasha and Naomi. That would be part of Ripley's initiation into Edge's group. Makes sense, and I like where you're going with it. Bailey says, the only one with go away heat right now is Shane. Yeah, and he went away. KJ saying, damn, these characters losers and sheep. Moxley said, is it we want Rusev chance? No, it's we are losers. And KJ said, this is going to be good. It's a good combination. Edge verbally embracing Damian there. We're getting an examination of pit bulls now. It's a solid promo. It's getting personal now. And here comes AJ. Let's see him duck his head. Duck your head, AJ. Duck your head. Good boy. Sean says, do you think we will get more members of Edge stable in the coming weeks? Yes, we will get more members of Edge stable in the coming weeks. Damian Priest getting punked out there. Rob says, Ripley will bring conviction. And Kai says, who would you like to see face Roman now? I think Drew would be good, but it seems like he's dropped down the card since I last watched. He has, and there's a reason for that. Drew's dropped down basically so the crowd don't get bored of him, which is good for me. Good from where I'm sitting. He will come back to it. Cody's definitely en route, but I think Seth is next up. D. Freeman says, what babyface in the future you think that Austin Theory Heat can go to and help them out? Because if it can't be transferred, then it's not Heat. Well, firstly, Finn Balor's right there. Finn Balor's literally right there. If Austin Theory does get the match for the United States Championship at WrestleMania Backlash and loses, there you go, job done. Megan says Priest is going to be 40 this year. And Marcus says, this reminds me of Darker Evlon because Edge is Triple H, Damian is Batista. Do you mean Evolution? I definitely would not make that comparison. There is no Ric Flair. Also, Edge as Triple H doesn't quite work. Damian Priest as Batista doesn't quite work. It's a very different group to me. I'd be more likely to look at them as Straight Edge Society. Something like that. Rob says, the big guy can be Verdict. Verdict. Hector says, new member incoming. Not just yet. No need just yet. AJ Styles, with the mark still on his face, takes a firm beating. And it sounds like someone's shouting, "Call your dad," which I'm very confused by. I don't want to do that. Also, I can't. I don't have his number. By choice. He a dick. He a big fat dick. Right, that leaves us with half hour to get to our main event segment. Naturally, the main event segment is going to be Roman Reigns. KJ says Priest's feet missed AJ. They did. They did. AJ got taken out by a spear. He put his legs up. He over-brothered again. He over-brothered again. Very strong boo there from the crowd as we head into a recap of the Raw Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania. Steve Freeman says, I think Edge needs a heater. And I think Priest can use this a lot. This will push him to another level. Oh, Jamie Noble chance. Cool. Cool. I'm enjoying this crowd. So Raw so far, average. Definitely average. The Street Profits are on their way down. Looks like we're going to get one last match. I'd imagine this is going to be against Alpha Academy. Before our main event. This probably won't even last 10 minutes, let's be fair. You've got to make room for Roman's entire entrance. So I said this Edge faction needs someone completely out of left field, like Reggie or the Viking Raiders. Someone who needs a gimmick rescue. Okay, I get it. So Commander Aziz it is. You said it, Si, not me. You said it. And you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right. Kura says put Noble back in the ring. I don't think he wants that. Gotta be honest. Gotta be honest. And as we head into our last half hour, one last time, if you're currently watching on Twitch, please remember to hit that follow button. You'll receive a notification every time we go live with our spoiler warning news show and our Smackdown watch-alongs. That's our regular programming. We're also running an NXT watch party tomorrow. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit the like button. A little thumbs up can make a massive difference. And subscribe if you haven't already. We are currently at 1,071 subscribers and counting. Dave Freeman says this will push AJ back to being a top babyface if they see him that way. Do you think AJ brings a faction of his own? No. I think AJ takes a beating and then moves on. That's what I think it's going to be. AJ, for me, has never been a big deal on Raw. He's never happened. He's been a big deal on SmackDown. In fact, he's always been a big deal on SmackDown. But he has never been a big deal on Raw. Rob says, was the Pat Buck exit known going into Mania build-up? Yes, it was. Hector says, Jamie Noble went from wrestling on SmackDown with Edge in the early 2000s to stopping a still wrestling Edge 20 years later at the backstage figure. That's wild. That's wrestling, baby. Marcus says, I don't think Finn Balor is going to re-sign, in my humble opinion. I'm not saying this because I'm a fan of AEW, but the Prince fits in New Japan or AEW. I would definitely like to see Prince Devitt back in New Japan. I say that about a lot of people, though, and it never quite happens. When it comes to Balor, I'm also not sure he's going to sign a new deal. Because to be blunt, why would you? He's had nothing since he came back from NXT. Nothing. They've just thrown him to the wolves, thrown him down the pecking order with no sign of recovery. Nothing. Jermaine says, I have a feeling all the call-ups will happen after Tuesday's NXT 2.0. It's possible. I can't really comment on it, but I think it's possible. And Sean says, went from beat up John Cena to beat up AJ Styles. Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what happened. Gone from beat up John Cena to beat up AJ. And it's having issues on the PS4 again. Let's try this one more time, and then we'll swap to the PC again. Because there's one thing I can't guarantee, is that anything is going to work. Hopefully it's better with NXT. You going to work now? You're not going to work. Okay, fair enough. Let's swap back. Sean says, what made you decide to do an NXT watch party? I just felt if you're going to go like all in, go all in. That means that this week I will have done a Raw watch party, a Smackdown watch party, and an NXT watch party. And for me, that just makes sense. The combination of them all. If you're going to go big, you know. Oh, I made a mistake there. Right, let me try and make this work. Just starting all over again. And see how it goes. Okay, so log in. I do apologize for all the issues that I'm having here. Hopefully at least just survives for the last half hour, but we'll see what actually happens there. Rob says, Balor has stated in past interviews him and his wife would like to spend time travelling the world together. He's not going to get the chance to do that as a full-time wrestler, so thank you for letting us know that one, Robs. That is useful information considering what we're talking about. See, wrestling full-time, that's going to start fading away soon. AEW rarely sign people to full-time contracts, and in the WWE there's a lot of people moving to limited date contracts. A lot of people. Meaning that, yeah, they work hard still, but they get a lot more time off. Limited date will be the saviour of wrestling, I tell you. Absolutely the saviour of wrestling. Just because it means people can still have their own lives. Whereas right now, they are wrestlers, and that is all. Hector said, it's wild how an injury can drastically change someone's career. Finn was chosen as the first Universal Champ to now being pinned multiple times in a week span as a champion. Yeah, the plan was literally to the moon. Literally to the moon. The plan was for Finn Balor to take that championship, feud with Kevin Owens, and go all the way to WrestleMania as champion. Sean says, Sasha and Alexa on limited days. Not to my knowledge, no. Not to my knowledge. Simon says, people on Twitter not happy they've already killed the women's tag team division a day after Boss Glow already won the belts. There is still plenty of time to make changes, add some new tag teams. The division has not been killed. There are times for call-ups. But when you say people on Twitter are not happy, that's all time. That's literally second one to second two. The entire thing. The entire thing. Nobody's ever happy on Twitter. Twitter is a shithole. Adam Pearce, for no reason, has just made this a tornado tag. I get the feeling they're running behind on time. Because I get the feeling there was supposed to be a countdown and DQ here in order to get us to there. But no, we're just there. We're just there. D. Freeman said, if Finn would beat Austin Theory in a title match, it would look like 50-50 booking. So literally there is no way to win in that one, is there? Heels are kind of important. Without heels, you ain't got faces. So sometimes you got to build up a heel, and Austin Theory's doing a good job of it. Sai says, people on Twitter also thought Ezekiel was LA Knight. Low bar for IQ. Twitter is not the home of the most intelligent people in the world. It's also not the home of people who actually stop and think before they say things. It's the home of react, and be angry. The crowd are chanting, we want tables in this tag team match. And the BT Sport app is already having king issues. Kura says, Texas Tornado match, find JBL and throw him in. Well, then he'd have to win, wouldn't he? Hector says, Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce laying down the law tonight. First we've seen of him. Didn't even know he was there. First we've seen of him and he's just changing all the rules. Wrestlers might not be happy with him. Jermaine says, I started to believe that Asuka moves over to SmackDown. Also believe Io, Kaylee Ray and a few others get moved to SmackDown. And we see them this Friday night. Bayley and Alexa Bliss show up on Raw. At this point, what I'm going to say, given what's happened, is let's not get our hopes up. Okay? Let's not get so excited about call-ups that if we don't get the one we're after, we call it a 1 out of 10 show. Marcus says, I like Theory. Am I the only one? No, I like Theory. I think he's doing a great job. Girl says, when Roman closes out the show, who do you see interrupting him, if anyone at all? Seth, Cody, Bobby, everyone. Everyone, just everyone. Brock. Megan says, I did like Pierce's tweet of the map tagging Veer before the show. I did not know he did that. That's clever. I respect it. That's good general manager stuff. Megan says, I don't think this is a bad show. I do think there is something missing though. Yeah, I agree. It's average. It is an average show. There's nothing really worth talking about. Nothing particularly special happening. A lot of tag matches. Like a lot of tag matches. And we're coming up to about 10 minutes of Roman. Well, I'm guessing what's going to happen is he'll let us know what's happening with the championships. I'm not aware of a run over, no, D. Freeman. Muggsy says Adam Pearce is great. I heartily agree. And Marcus just says The Rock. I don't know why, but he did say it. Jermaine says, hey Tom, when Lacey Evans comes back, is she going to Raw or Smackdown? They don't know because they don't know when she's going to come back. They've not made any plans for her because they don't want to plan for someone if they don't know whether they're returning in a certain amount of time. She's taken a bit more time for maternity. That's absolutely fine. The WWE are more than accommodating of it. It'll basically be whoever's missing people, wherever is missing people, that's where she'll go. Bailey says, what makes this show tonight difficult was that there were so many opportunities for returns or call-ups, and we got neither. That's true. We have Bailey, we have Asuka, we obviously have people like Braun Breaker, EO, Kaylee Ray, Toxic Attraction. We have the people. They're just not using them. There's still time for like a vignette or something, but they need people. They just need people. Ghost says, I hope SmackDown gives more of a show after Mania feel. Once again, this show isn't bad, but it's missing that grand feeling. I get you. Hector says, I think WWE know people will tune in because it's a Mania after Raw, so we're in the palm of their hands. Definitely a smart move for them. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong. And the crowds are a lot more controlled now that we're back from the pandemic, as it were. D. Freeman says, was next year's WrestleMania supposed to be one night? Nope, it was always going to be 2 nights. They made that decision months ago. I want to say 7 or 8 months ago. Something like that. And Marcus says, because people want Rock versus Roman, to be honest, I don't understand hype, but people do really, really want that match. And The Rock has just never really been that interested because he hasn't freed up his schedule for it. Someone 7 says, how has the crowd been? I've seen a lot of people hate on the crowd tonight. I thought the crowd's been fine. They weren't great with Bianca, but they were fantastic with Edge. But it's harder for me to really keep up with the crowd because, yes, I've got my headphones in and I'm listening to the show, but at the same time, I'm also talking a lot. So it's difficult for me to really keep up with what the crowd are doing. I always feel awkward with these watch-alongs because I don't know when I should talk and when I should shut up, basically. With promos, I tend to be quieter, but with matches, I tend to monopolise more of the time. Muggsy says, with the returns, I feel like SmackDown need it more. I agree. I definitely agree. SmackDown definitely need people a lot more than Raw does. Particularly top-level people. Losing Jeff Hardy and Cesaro, it cost him. Alpha Academy doing well against the Street Profits so far. Moonsault from Chad Gable. He went too far. Montez Ford tried to get in position for him. Didn't quite work out. D. Freeman says, do you know how many wrestlers are on the main Raw roster? I do not know exactly, but I can easily find out. Go on to WWE.com and look at the roster. Muggsy says, I think WrestleMania will be a 2-day event permanently. Yes, I believe that is the plan. Not long after last year's WrestleMania, I was hearing talk that it was going to be 2 nights permanently. So it's nice to know that it's actually happening. Kuro says, higher the table. The crowd just chant table. Table is over. Jermaine says, if Becky Lynch is taking time off, then the only thing to do is have Bayley come out and challenge Bianca next week, or Lacey Evans or Alexa Bliss do it. She does need a new challenger. That doesn't mean it's not going to be someone like Doudrop, though. It's not an impossibility. Table is more over than the competitors. That's true. Chad Gable threw Montez Ford out of the ring. Angelo Dawkins is off the table, which has disappointed the crowd. Sean says, who does everyone think has the best moonsault in WWE today? I say Io. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful and very well controlled, the moonsault that Io Shirai does. So I would completely agree. Chad Gable has manoeuvred the table. Gable table. Gable table. See, after Chad Gable goes through a table, he'll have a vision after the table of a Gable stable. So the Gable stable inspired by a table will become a thing, and then you'll have Gable and Gable. Good thing you moved that table. Trying to work out how best not to go through tables. That's how it works. That's how it should be. Okay, I need to try and fix my stream again. I missed a table spot. Boo. Damn it. Marcus says, like I said, I'm more looking forward to AEW after Supercard more than Raw and SmackDown. I love this WrestleMania, but WrestleMania wasn't helping main roster beside Cody. Bianca, mate. Bianca. Bianca got a big assist from it. I think RK Bro did pretty well. The tag team match there was pretty good. Sami Zayn not so much. Bobby Lashley got a face turn out of it. That was alright. Damian Priest had an evolution of his character and paired it with Edge. The main roster was helped. But yeah, the celebrities did pretty well as well, let's be fair. Kuro says, personally thinks Solo Sikoa has the best moonsault. KJ says, knew that would happen after Gable moved it. Indeed. Makes sense. Not a big surprise. Muggsy says, could we ever see like SummerSlam become a 2-day event? Yes. I'm going to be blunt here and say exactly what's going to happen. Vince McMahon's ideal world is WWE filling 100,000 seater stadiums every single day of the year. Every single one. If he can find a way to do it, he absolutely will. KJ says, back-to-back nicer tables in WWE, impossible. You'd think so. And yeah, at the same time, here we are. Ghost of Nay says, what is the best finisher in WWE today? Until Saturday, I would have said End of Days. And I'm still gonna. KJ says, do we hear that biggest, not greatest, Mania match in history? Yep, it was big. Megan says, as regards Raw, 34 men and 11 women. On SmackDown, 26 men and 10 women. Quite small rosters compared. And Kuro says, the table is the newest signed WWE superstar. Table got released. Table getting released. I'm noticing it says the Undisputed Universal Champion does not mention the WWE Championship. Roman Reigns up next. We are in our final commercial break. Which means what's going to happen, first and foremost, is what we're going to see is Roman Reigns' intro, and that'll be the end of Raw. Good times, good times. Kura says, what would this make the table? A 19th generation superstar. A grizzled old vet will say that. KJ says, any predictions here? Yeah, I think Roman's going to stand tall. I think he's going to show off his championships. I think he's either going to debut a new belt or relinquish one of them. And that would be the WWE Championship. That's what I expect. Damian says, with no call-ups tonight, this show feels like a regular episode of Raw. You're not wrong. It is a regular episode of Raw. It's very plain and a bit average. Mogsy says, I'm calling it now. Brock's coming out. Brock is still in the area, to be clear. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Brock this week and then don't see him from here on out. Cora says up there with the likes of Vacant. Vacant is the most celebrated champion in WWE history. No one has had more. Simon says, is it just me or did people expect Heyman to get an F5 yesterday? It's not just you. I said it several times while you were watching that I expected that exact thing to happen. Wolfgamer says, Roman comes out, says, fuck this title, and tosses the WWE Championship into the 4th row. Not the first time it's been in the 4th row. Brock did the exact same thing. Exact same thing. Sean said, if Brock doesn't appear tonight, he could appear on Smackdown. He could. It's an undisputed championship. They're on every show. And Sai says, I've seen pictures of a gold belt, but didn't know if they were legit or not. Well, Roman does have a golden gauntlet. I don't know if they're legit. I've seen pictures of that myself. There's only one way to find out. Right, BT has started working again. Let's see if we can keep this going for the last 10 minutes. Kuro says, someone got Vince's shoe last night and security immediately asked for it back. That sounds about right. Megan predicts, Roman's going to saunter down to the ring looking like a god. He'll be acknowledged, smile down the camera, before something happens to set up a cliffhanger for Friday. I get a little mad, a little sad, and then I try and sleep. That's life. That's life. That's what all the tribal chief says. Next week on Raw, AJ Styles versus Damian Priest. Also next week, of course, a Women's Tag Team Championship match. Sasha Banks and Naomi defending against Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, despite the fact they lost their championship contenders match. I don't like championship contenders matches. I like even less when you lose and still end up with a championship shot. Megan is confident in her prediction. We also have Rey Mysterio versus Veer Mahan. More importantly, we have 10 minutes left and Roman hasn't even started walking down to the ring yet. Right, is there anything in the ring? There's no podium or anything in the ring just yet. If there was a new belt being unveiled, I would imagine there would be a podium there. Sean says, no watch party next week? No. I work full time. I cannot do watch parties for Raw. The only reason I'm doing this one is because I booked a week off for WrestleMania. We'll have our usual next week, 5 hours per week of content, with one extra show on Thursday coming up. Bailey says, Tom, you deserve the time off after 4+ days of coverage. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you. As it actually happens, I'll be taking 1 day off. 1 day off, and then I'll be doing a show on Thursday, 2 shows on Friday, a show on Sunday, 2 shows on Monday. Then I will start with time off. Sorry, 1 show on Monday. Probably Sean, yes, the next watch party will probably be the draft. Depends on individual circumstances, but that's where we are. Kura says, I noticed they stopped saying WWE Unified Champion and are now saying Undisputed Universal Champion. Yep, I spotted that one as well. Interesting, the WWE Championship seems to be low from the Bloodline. Gotta respect that Roman has the bottom of the championships pointed directly at each other. Megan says, Mike Rome got to introduce Roman without having the mic taken away from him. Indeed. I would say there's still time, but he got it out. He did it. Praise be. The Usos are each carrying one of the championships. Beautiful. Rob says shaking that arm out. He's selling it still. That was a smile and a half. Now this is an entrance. There are 4 championship belts on display between 3 people. Roman not even carrying his own stuff. Mogsy says doesn't look injured. Looks buff, tell you that. Baron Saxton playing up the fact that it wasn't a clean victory. Roman will have all of 4 minutes to say what he's here to say. KJ says Usos are double champs. You love to see it. You do. You do. One last time, if you are currently watching on YouTube, please remember to hit like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. We are still sitting at 1,071 subscribers. We're still growing at quite a nice pace, but if we can grow a little faster, I absolutely would love to do that. So please, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe, hit like, and hopefully we'll see you for future shows as well. In the meantime, we have a couple of minutes left of WWE Raw, an average Raw best, but a Raw nonetheless that featured Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins very briefly, Kevin Owens, Ezekiel, Veer came. Do you remember when Veer came? Rob says I like the Uso holding the belts, very prestigious looking. Maybe they have a short run over. It would have to be very short. Once again, a beautiful view. Roman seems to have no issue lifting that arm. He's just pivoting around now. Doing a little spin, a little twirl. Such a show off. To be fair, even if his arm is injured, chances are he won't be actually wrestling for a while. Girl says Bailey just tweeted, oh, just woke up from a nap, in reference to people asking for her return tonight. If she's not booked, she's not booked. Nothing she can do about it. Megan says, how happy must Roman be right now? If they tried to do this even a couple of years ago, they would have been hell to pay with their reaction. Nowadays, it is full on deserved. Sean says, do the networks not like runovers? No, the networks do not like runovers. It screws with their schedule. Rob says, head-to-head with NCAA championship game in the States tonight, and North Carolina is a draw ratings-wise historically. It is time to acknowledge him. Yes, Tribal Chief. Hector says the Bloodline was a perfect way to make Jim and Jay look even more like stars, and they were big stars prior. They have been elevated by this. Okay, we're switching up. Paul Heyman has the microphone. Megan says, I don't think Brock hurt Roman's arm. I think Roman, being a father of 5, is more likely to have hurt his arm. As someone who now regularly has a small child crawling all over him, using him as a climbing frame, and tries desperately to catch them when small child leaps off, I get it. Moggy said on the BT schedule it says 4:15. Well, we're about to find out. Networks don't like an overrun. That doesn't mean they're not going to get one. Paul Heyman has got the crowd chanting Roman's name. Literally, palm of his hand. It says networks don't want overruns because of the differences in hours for ad rates, and it messes with ratings. Very true. Thank you for clarifying it. A pretty strong Roman chant there. This crowd is making his feelings known. The Raw after WrestleMania used to be the worst night for Roman. Tonight, not so much. We're definitely overrunning. They can't work around that. Sean says, did you agree with the unification back when Jericho won it? Yes. Yes. Because at that point, there were 2 world championships for no real reason. They had to unify the WCW championship. There was only one brand after all. The crowd jumping in to say, smashed him. You smashed him, Roman. He's a progressive tribal chief. Cliffhanger, Megan. I think that might be it. No overrun. Just exactly as Megan said, the cliffhanger. This Friday on Smackdown, you'll find out what's next. That was a hell of an anticlimactic finish. Well, yes, perfect timing. Okay. So that was WWE Raw. That was what they had lined up right after WrestleMania. Not great. Not great. What will happen next, I'm not sure. Sean suggests new title reveal. KJ is asking, SmackDown after Mania is a thing now. Yep, still a thing. Roman can certainly make that work. But at this point, it is 4 a.m. And Tom Colohue needs to work out his sleeping pattern all over again. So at this point, I'm going to say a massive thank you to everyone for joining me. I hope everyone's had a great time. And I will hopefully see some of you for the NXT Watch Party tomorrow, before I finally get a day off on Wednesday. Until then, thank you everyone for your company. I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic. I'll see you all very soon.